Good evening, and welcome to the Gilroy Unified School District Board of Education regular meeting. ¿Hay alguien que necesita intérprete para la Junta? Okay. Any students who are here for your history class or social sciences, please stay until you're dismissed. It will be around 8 o'clock. Agendas will be up here. Okay. First up, the Pledge of Allegiance. Our regular president is not here this evening, so I'm filling in, so please bear with me. The Pledge of Allegiance, El Roble Elementary School. Mr. Otteson.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Flores. So before we start, I just want to introduce you to our students, and I always brag about them a little bit. So first of all, I told them to dress up, and they dressed really weird today, and I'll explain it in just a second. So to my right here is Addison Asclepiadis, and next to her is Brady Reed, both fifth graders at El Roble. Both have been at our school since kindergarten. In fact, Brady has actually been at school every single day, every year. Addison, I'm not sure, but I don't think it's quite perfect. It's really close. So they've been El Roble students, and they are both totally involved. They've been in student council this year. They've been in safety patrol. They've been in our fifth grade mural club that meets once a week all year long. And the part why they're dressed, they kind of choreographed today. They have on their heads their AR star hats. They just both hit over 500 accelerated reader points, which is a lot, and they've done it before. So there are two of our top readers, and they also have these green shirts on that they just got at the Tech Challenge. So this is our first year being a Tech Academy school. So they have their shirts, they have their medals, they have some stickers and buttons all over them. So they did all that. And they have asked if any of you, after the pledge, would like to ask them any questions about anything. They will answer your question. Anything? Anything. Yes, anything. So I'm going to let them get started. Addison, you're up.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Now you've got to take it off, though. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. A Kids for Character pledge. I pledge to be a kid for character. I will be worthy of trust. I will be respectful and responsible, doing what I must. I will always act with fairness. I will show that I care. I will be a good citizen and always do my share. You may be seated.
All right, James, I know you have at least one question for them. No. Please give them one question at least.
Oh, this is perfect.
Yes.
There you go.
Can you tell me what the numerical equivalent for pi is?
Nope.
3.14.
Come on, what's the first digit?
Just tell them you got it.
3.14 something something.
The judges will accept that answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions? All right, I'm just going to tell you one other little thing. So this was our first year with the Tech Academy, and they're super proud about this. And they met every week, in addition to their mural club, working on the challenge that was up at the Tech Academy. So they did a great job. They were our first group, and we had actually 7 teams go, which was pretty impressive. So I'm real proud of them.
Thank you very much. Next up is the approval of the agenda. Item 5L is being pulled. So with that modification, I will entertain a motion.
Move approval?
All right. I should point out that trustees Bass and Paceno are not here this evening. So each vote has to be roll call. Is that true? No.
Not true.
Yes. Okay. We got this. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous with board members Bass and Paceno Absent. Okay. Can I do what? Okay, next up is recognitions. I'm coming with you.
So I apologize to everybody for an unplanned, unexpected injury 10 days ago and surgery Tuesday morning, so. All right. Great. Well, we love this part of our board meetings because we get to recognize some very special people in our district. And I'm going to start tonight with a unique recognition. We've never done this before. But we're very proud of one of our bus drivers, and I'd like to ask her to come forward so we can embarrass her a little bit. So Maria Del Carmen Collins, would you please come forward and just stand here next to Mr. Pace? And we want to recognize you for your incredible performance recently. So on May 3rd, during her normal afternoon route, Carmen's bus with 46 students on board was hit by a driver who was under the influence. I don't know if you saw the pictures of the other vehicle. That looked like a pretty bad accident. Carmen quickly assessed the situation. She secured the scene, called for help, and ensured that all of our students were safe. Once all students had been safely evacuated, Carmen continued to offer comfort and guidance to help the students until help arrived and the parents were able to come and pick up their children. Thankfully, what could have been a very tragic situation ended quietly with grateful parents, safe children, and a hero in our midst. The fact that no one aboard Bus 15 was seriously injured is a testament to all of the children on the board who knew the rules of the bus prior to the accident and then followed Carmen's instructions to reach safety. And you were right on Monterey, right? A very busy, dangerous road to start with. Our parents, students, and community are grateful to you for the care that you provided to our students on the afternoon of May 3rd. So I'd like to present you with a plaque. He'll present you with the plaque. And I'll read real quickly for everybody what it says. Gilroy Unified School District Board of Education proudly recognizes Maria Del Carmen Collins, bus driver, Gilroy Unified School District. We are grateful for your unwavering commitment to our students' safety, extraordinary effort to ensure their well-being, and compassionate caring for each of our children who were in your charge on May 3rd, 2018 and every day. Thank you so much, Carmen. We're very
Why don't you stand in the middle?
The top comes off.
It's my fault.
It's okay. It relieves some tension over the last 10 minutes.
One, two, three.
All right, thanks, Carmen. Great job.
Okay, so now,
Would all the bus drivers who came to support her please stand so we can acknowledge all of you?
And this is teamwork. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Corey. And thank you, Trish. This is a teamwork. Thank you.
there's space issues. We need to.
I know, this is a little awkward, but we can't bring in the parents and students from Mount Madonna, so would the bus drivers like to exit? Sorry. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate you being here.
The fire marshal has rules.
Yep. We have a capacity based on the fire marshal's ruling, and he was here earlier, so we need to follow the rules. So our next recognition is community service recognition, and we were going to recognize Gilroy Christopher at Mount Madonna tonight, but it turns out that Gilroy had a major conflict tonight with CSF, so they're going to come next time. So tonight we're just going to do Christopher High and Mount Madonna, and I'll remind everyone, because we have different people in the audience, I'll say what I said last time, but the requirement for community service began with the class of 2014, so this is our 4th year to do this. And the reason that the board and the staff supported this new graduation requirement at the time was we felt it would instill in our students the value of community involvement and service to others, and it's definitely done that. We've just seen so many incredible examples through the work that our students are doing in their community service requirement. And we've learned that when students are given the opportunity to work on pressing community problems or to address the needs of different segments of our population, they contribute positively to the quality of life in our community. So Mount Madonna students, come on up, and I think we have Christopher too? Christopher's here as well. Yeah, so why don't we have them all come up, because I think we only have about 12, right?
Yes.
So, do we want Mount Madonna right now?
Well, we're gonna bring them both up.
We'll bring
Yeah. So while they come up, I'll keep talking, because we have a long board meeting. Every student in the district is required to complete 80 hours of community service in order to graduate. Students that double this requirement and earn 160 hours or more are honored at their graduation ceremony, and they wear a green tassel so that we all know, and we have them stand up. So these many students have completed 160 hours or more. And over the past 4 years that we've been doing this, we've also been recognizing the top 5% in community service. So we're going to call their names out as part of this program. And the student from each high school that earns the most community service, do we have the plaque to show them? Will have their name on a perpetual plaque where every year we're going to add the top student who earned the most hours in community service. So we started that last year. So we really value, I think you can tell, community service, and that's why we're making a big deal out of recognizing the students who earn these hours. So we're going to, I also want to recognize the community service coordinators. They do such an incredible job, and tonight we have 2 schools being recognized. I don't know if Gloria Hennessy is here or not, but she's done a great job at Christopher High organizing community service there. And then Carmina Salgado does it at Mount Madonna. We really appreciate their work, and of course the principals work in supporting the community service requirement. So Caroline is going to read the names of the Christopher High top students first, and we'll give them, and then you have to use the mic.
Okay. It's a great honor and pleasure to look at my students in the eyes and see all the hours and care that they put into their community. They love Gilroy. Our first awardee is Tasia McConkey.
Thank you very much.
Brandon Hammer. Chloe McKazonkaby. I practiced too. Sorry.
Well done.
Montserrat Zamora. Sophia Tenbrook. Celeste Lemus. Kayla Freitas. Victor Pineda. Velocity Dodge. Practice for graduation. Natalie Roberts. And Russell Case. Good job, Russell.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to recognize the Mount Madonna students, and Diane Padilla, the principal, will call out their names.
Thank you.
Okay, so our first student that we're recognizing is from, the first two students, I should say, are from Graduation Alliance. We have Tyler Fight. Paula Rangel. Come on. And we have two students from Mount Madonna that are present, Mark Anthony DeLeon. Oops. And Alyssa Rocha. Congratulations. Congratulations, students.
So have Mount Madonna students come over for a picture. You're late, okay. So what's your name? From which school? Okay. We'll get your certificate and you can, unfortunately, we just broke up the picture, sorry.
Well done.
Good job. Yeah, we're proud of all of you. And we have a certificate for you.
See you graduate.
Okay, great.
All right, everybody, let's move to your left, closer to Dr. Flores.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, me first and then your parents, okay? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Great, okay. One more.
Okay.
All right, great. All right, thanks. Now, we have two students that we'd like to recognize, and they had the highest number of community service hours at their school. So Caroline Calero, will you please accept this plaque? Where's Caroline? And I hope Tasha's still here. McConkey, she's still here? She went out, Tasia?
Okay.
Could we have her come back in for the picture? There she comes. She, no? No. Cheryl, can you see if Tasia McConkey is out there? Good. I got to hear a speech by Tasia at our Rotary a couple months ago. It was great. You did. I know you are being recognized for lots of things, but that speech was really good.
Thank you.
I was really impressed. Tasia earned 519.75 hours as the top community service for Christopher Hyde. Cool.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
Great.
And one for my mom.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. You made us look
And
good.
then for Mount Madonna, Tyler Fight for 246.5 hours. Congratulations. Great job.
Well done.
Congratulations. Why don't you guys come this way?
All right.
There you go.
Everybody, 1, 2, 3.
Great. All right. Thanks. Congratulations.
Look good.
Yeah. Our next recognition is Rod Kelly California Distinguished School. Was it 2 weeks ago now? Time's flown by. Where's Maritza? Come on up. Any Rod Kelly staff that would like to join us, please come up. This is well deserved. You guys can stand over here. So we're really pleased to recognize Rod Kelly as a California Distinguished School. BC, Heather, and I, and some of the staff, and Ritzen, all traveled to Anaheim a couple weeks ago, where all the California Distinguished Schools were recognized. This year, the level is elementary that's being recognized. Next year, it'll be secondary. And they've gone back to the format that we had for many years for California Distinguished Schools, where there's a single ceremony at Disneyland Hotel in Anaheim. So there were thousands of people at this event. But we're really proud that Rod Kelly could be there at that event. Rod Kelly, as you know, has just done an outstanding job in every area. And they, as already mentioned earlier, they've been recognized by Innovate Public Schools several times as one of the few public elementary schools in the state that is doing such a great job with all subgroups of their population. And it's not uncommon to see at a grade level 70, 80, 90% of the students reaching the highest levels. So they're doing a lot of really good things for our students, and we're really proud of them. And we would like to present you with the plaque, and I'll read it. I'm trying to move as fast as I can, sorry, because we've had a lot on our agenda tonight. So the plaque reads, Gilroy Unified School District Board of Education proudly recognizes Rod Kelly Elementary School, recipient of the prestigious California Department of Education California Distinguished School Award. We express our gratitude for your commitment to excellence and continuous improvement that allows us to provide the highest quality education to all students. The award represents the culmination of the incredible hard work and dedication of every individual at Rod Kelly Elementary School. So in closing, I'd just like to tell you how much I appreciate all that you do on a daily basis for the students and for being the leaders many times when it comes to innovations, implementation, a lot of different strategies that you've implemented. And I know you've worked with GPS somewhat to try to coordinate what you're doing. So it really is great to see one of our own public schools really up there with these charter schools that Innovate Public Schools recognizes every year. It's great to see you standing up there and doing such a great job. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you for making us feel
Terry, you want to come closer to Dr. Flores? All right, ready, 1, 2. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
I'll just take it home.
Yeah.
So we do Rachel.
Yeah, I've got it on.
Yeah, this is it.
No, I don't.
It's right there. Rachel.
Oh, I'm so organized. Okay, as the board knows, we started an employee recognition program this year, and this will be our third time, I believe, to do it this year, where a member of each of our bargaining units and management is recognized as one of our outstanding employees. So tonight we'd like to start with our CSEA awardee, Rachel Mendoza. So I'd like to ask Rachel to come forward. Thank you for coming tonight, Rachel. Really appreciate it. Rachel began her employment with the district on August 27, 1996. She was hired as a campus supervisor and has served the district as the school secretary at Brownell Middle School and the former community school, which is where I first met her when I came to the district. That seems forever, a long time ago. And now she's a school secretary at Christopher High School. Rachel's nomination was submitted by attendance liaison Melissa Vernon, and I'm going to read from that nomination so you'll know why she was nominated. This is the person who nominated her is saying, since I started at Christopher High, Rachel has been such an excellent resource for me and is always willing to lend a hand and teach me anything she can to help me do my job. She has a tricky job in not only being stern with kids who she sees for discipline, but also being their confidant and the person they go to when they need assistance. Recently, Rachel has been on leave, and our campus is not the same without her. She is missed by the staff, but most importantly, missed by the students. She always has a positive attitude, even when dealing with the worst situations, both here at the school and in her personal life. The care she has for our campus as a whole shines through the dedication that she puts into every aspect of her job. It's because of Rachel's initiative that we operate so seamlessly. Her self-taught knowledge of Aries and sharing that knowledge makes all our jobs and our school run smoothly. Her positive energy is contagious and helps make our campus a great place to be. She is always willing to fill in anywhere she's needed, helping after school events, taking the time to get to know every student so that she can learn how to best serve their needs. In her absence, we're all trying to carry on her positive attitude, hardworking spirit, and genuine concern for the success of every student at CHS. So Rachel, on behalf of the school board and myself, we're really proud to be able to recognize you this evening as the CSCA employee and receiving, does someone? James has it. This is our own unique little creation, and I'll read to everybody what it says. Presentation, I don't think we have the words on here, do we? It's really simple. We created this this year for our employee recognition program, and it says Gilroy Unified School District Employee Recognition Award, May 17, 2018, presented to Rachel Mendoza. Thank you, Rachel. Where is she? Melissa, you want to come up for a picture? Everyone got one? Did you bring her wheelchair? Yeah, I would. But we can wait in the car. Okay, we'll just wait. While you're all standing there, why don't you come over here and we'll take a picture of you? Absolutely. Oh, we got more? Cool.
More people.
That's okay, we'll get everybody in. Sure, of course, let me move over a little.
Rachel, I have to tell you, Mark has come down to the office for reinforcements twice.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Everybody smile. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you again for coming, Rachel. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Congratulations. Our second employee recognition is for one of our GFP members, and I'd like to ask her to come up, Sarah Espinosa. Congratulations. Sarah began her employment with the district on September 5th, 2014. She's a special needs instructional support para-educator at South Valley Middle School. Sarah's nomination was submitted by education specialist at South Valley Middle School, Maria Jose Garcia. Is she here? No? Okay. Well, Maria wrote, we don't read the whole thing, so we're just going to give you a little bit of what Maria wrote. Sarah is a beautiful, amazing, caring, organized, and hardworking para. She always goes above and beyond her work expectations. She cares for our students, is kind, patient, and loving. She's one of the most hardworking individuals that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. She defines an above and beyond attitude and her work performance. She supports students, teachers, and other staff. Sarah suggests ideas that will work best for our students, such as schedule changes, activities, implementing them, and lesson ideas, and much more. So Sarah, on behalf of the district and the board, we want to really thank you for all you've done. Even in your short tenure here, you must be incredible. I'll have to watch you myself, but we're just really proud of the work you've done with our students and your dedication. So we have a small token of our appreciation. So thank you so much. Yes. Great, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And then for our GTA recognition, I'd like to ask Adrian Summers to come up. Thanks for coming. Congratulations. Adrian began her employment with the district on August 17th, 1999. She was hired as a special education teacher at a variety of school sites. I've seen you at least at 3 since I've been here. Yeah. And she's done a great job everywhere she's gone. Currently, she's a program specialist on our team in the Student Services office here, and she's doing an incredible job. Adrian's nomination was submitted by Student Services Secretary Rosanna Dubois, and I'm going to read part of that nomination. Adrian goes above and beyond her duties to accommodate students. She's always covering classes when there is no teacher available. She spends hours at IEP meetings with parents. She places students in schools as soon as possible. She is kind and very professional. She's always smiling and happy, even though work is very stressful. She is uplifting and very supportive of our clerical and department staff. Our clerical staff always go to Adrian for support with questions and answers. If she does not have the answer, she'll get the information we need. She makes sure that her work is done even late into the evening, and she's always involved with children's theater in her community. She cares about our students. So thank you, Adrian. We are really proud of you, and thank you for all you do. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. And our final employee recognition is for one of our management team. You all know him very well. We're going to ask Kermit Schrock to come up so we can recognize him. Congratulations. So Kermit began his employment with the district on August 28th, 1989. I know it. Sounds a long time ago. He's been a middle and high school teacher in the district and is currently the program administrator of assessment and data management. And you've heard his reports. You've seen the written reports I send you. He was nominated by Tammy Espinosa. Is Tammy here? The principal at Luigi. Anyway, she nominated Kermit, and I'm going to read part of what she wrote. Kermit is very knowledgeable and always willing to help a site. He responds quickly by phone or email when a question is posed, whether it be by a principal, teacher, or paraeducator. He's quick and accurate. He will come to a site if we're having difficulty with different programs or need support analyzing data. He is patient when we need things to be clarified and is always kind and professional. Kermit helps each school site look at and analyze data. He helps us look at students at all levels to identify what each student needs. He is helping us be responsive and timely with our instruction based on student assessment results. So Kermit, on behalf of the Board of Education and myself, we are very proud of you. We're glad to have you. Well, I wish that we had two of you, but you do an amazing job. So
Thank you very
much.
Do I get to say a word?
Sure.
Since I'm up here, I haven't presented for a while, so I feel like I need to say something in the mic, right? Well, one of my colleagues nominated me, but I have to feel like since we're in the era of the CASP testing right now, we're in the thick of it, the students are out there hours and hours, I have to feel like they probably were saying, who can we recognize for these hours and hours of testing? Who's the person in the district office we can thank for this, right? Especially seniors with that CASP science test this year. I'm sure you were thinking, who can we thank for that this year? Well, I'm just here to say thank you very much for your recognition. Oh, no, it wasn't you guys. All right.
Next is item 3C1, California School Employees Association Week. Resolution 1718-41.
Right. At this time every year, we recognize our classified employees, and we send out a letter the week of the event, so we'll be doing that in another week or so. But at this board meeting, we always adopt a resolution on their behalf. So I'm going to read the resolution. So this is resolution number 1718-41. Whereas the week of May 20th through the 26th has been designated as Classified School Employees Week throughout California. And whereas classified employees in our school districts form the backbone of our public education system. And whereas the Gilroy Unified School District employs hundreds of classified employees who perform services that are essential to the educational process. And whereas classified school employees are rarely in the spotlight but are vital to the success of our schools and students, serving with professionalism and dedication and setting a high standard for care and compassion. And whereas other classified employees perform essential clerical, transportation, food service, maintenance, custodial, campus supervision, technology, and other functions that our district needs, and which provide many students with important educational and health-related services. Whereas many classified school employees serve as paraprofessionals, providing direct assistance to certificated staff in the classroom, and giving students the individual attention and support they need to succeed in or out of the classroom. Whereas classified employees provide services that enable the Gilroy Unified School District to respond effectively to the needs of students and their families, teachers, administrators, and other staff, and the needs of the greater community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education and Superintendent extends its sincere appreciation and commendation to the Gilroy Unified School District classified school employees, and proclaims the week of May 20th through May 26, 2018 as Classified School Employees Week.
Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion.
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Heather Bass, absent. B.C. Doyle.
Yes.
Mark Hood.
Yes.
Pat Midler. Yes. James Page.
Yes.
Linda Pacino, absent. Jaime Rosso.
Yes.
Thank you for your hard work.
Do we have any general public comment?
We do.
We do.
Next, we got it. Next is item D, general public comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on any item or any issue within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board that is not listed on this agenda. No action can be taken on an item not on the agenda at this time, but may be referred to the administration or put on a future agenda. In accordance with board bylaws, individual remarks will be limited to 3 minutes each. We have no, oh, that's on it. Thank you. There are no comments at this time. Item E, report of action taken in closed session. We have case removal, suspension, expulsion of a student, case 2018-22. I will entertain a motion.
Move to expel.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? With board members Pacino and Bass absent. Next is removal, suspension, expulsion of a student, case 2018-23. I will entertain a motion.
Move to expel.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. With board members Pacino and Bass absent. Next is removal, suspension, expulsion of a student, case 2018-25.
Move to expel. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? With board members Pacino and Bass absent. We have a settlement agreement?
Yes.
Um,
Just read it out by number.
Case OAH, case number 20180200574, which the board voted unanimously to approve with board members Pacino and Bass absent. I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next, we have reports to the board. Student Board Representative Daisy Zarate Osorio from Dr. T.J. Owens, Gilroy Early College Academy.
Melanie, would you mind bringing my packet over? I left it over there. Thanks. I just need the one on Daisy. Okay, great. Thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. Tonight I will be presenting on Dr. T.J. Owens, Gilroy Early College Academy, as well as Power School. So back in March and April, we had our talent show, movie night, and incoming freshman orientation. Our talent show was on the 23rd, and there was a lot of talent. It was really fun, and there was actually a surprise guest, which wasn't really a human guest, I'd say. It was like a bat just kind of like decided to show off its amazing flying skills during a performance. So yeah, there was a lot of laughs during that. And we also had our CHP Impact Week on that month, and this was designed to inform teenagers on the dangers and safety of driving. And to go along with that, we also had a door decorating contest to see which class could effectively communicate how safe driving is important. And that picture is a picture of our winner. And on the 13th of April, the seniors had their movie night where they presented Coco. This was to raise money for their senior trip. And on the 20th and 27th of April, the seniors also had their senior project presentations where they presented on a topic that they had researched throughout the year. And on the 26th, Gavilan College had its signing days where it was designated to congratulate and celebrate those who will be transferring in the fall of 2018. And our seniors, since they will be graduating and essentially transferring from Gavilan, they got to attend. And then on the 26th, we had our incoming freshman orientation. And I was there. It was to help the students and their parents with the college contract, as well as to get more insight on the school environment. Moving on to May, we had events such as our career day, our prom, and our Gecko Science Fair. On May 4th, we had our career day where we had guest speakers from a variety of different professions visit us. And I thought this was a really cool opportunity for the soon-to-be seniors to essentially get mentors for their senior project. And on Week of Kindness, our Week of Kindness was on the week of May 7th through the 11th. And essentially what we do is we make bags with our names, and we put them in the NPR where students could leave little notes, and it's designed to spread positivity. On that picture, you could see some of the notes I made. I like to go a little bit extra and make a drawing and then write something on the back. And on the 12th, we had our prom. The theme was Secret Garden, and it was located at San Juan Oaks in Hollister. And today, actually, the seniors went on their senior trip to Magic Mountain, and they will be gone today and tomorrow. So that's going to be 2 days where they will be having fun, and we will be having class time. And on the week of May 7th through the 18th, we had our AP exams, where the sophomores, juniors, and seniors took them. So we had to be in the classroom for 4 hours. It was fun. And the 14th of May, the freshmen presented their biology projects. It was really cool. The freshmen are so creative. I am impressed. I just can't believe they're that creative. And then finals are coming up next week. And I mean, we're okay. We're going to be okay. I believe in us. Yeah. We got this, yeah. Okay, and graduation, the seniors will be having their graduation, the GECA graduation at the Gavilan College Theater on May 24th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And there will be a total of 57 graduates, and they will be having their Gavilan graduation on May 25th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. where 41 GECA graduates, which is 72 of the 57%. I mean, sorry. Not that. It's 41 of the 57 graduates, which is 72%, will be obtaining their AA degree. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a really big deal. Yeah. Also, we got a classroom pet. It's a bearded dragon. His name is Mushu. It's really cute. Yeah, everyone loves him. And moving on to Power School. El Roble Power School, hold up, I need to find the note. El Roble Power School participated with School Day at the Tech Challenge on April 28th, and Casey Honey will also now be joining 3 other amazing teachers at the Tech Institute this summer. And Rocker Power School completed their Junior Ranger program, where a group of 4th grade students visited Henry Coe Park a total of 6 times in the last 4 months. Las Animas Power School recently collaborated with the school in the Walk and Bike to School event. And on May 4th, Power School actually had the bike racks decorated in a Star Wars theme. May the Force be with you. And Antonio del Bono Power School had their first family game night, where families were able to play board games and enjoy a fun night with staff. Overall, 25 Power School students participated in Campo Alegre during spring break, and they were all able to attend at a minimum cost or free through sponsorship. Power School is also currently working on their Superpower Summer Camp for summer, and that will be it.
Daisy, could you stay up there a minute, please?
Yeah.
So for the audience, we have student board reps from each of our high schools. And Daisy, of course, has been the rep for GECA this year, and we really, really appreciate her time and commitment. This is above and beyond being an incredible student and having all this pressure on her right at this time of year, but she's done a great job. And Daisy, we just want to thank you for your professionalism, your insight, your perspective, for your great reports, your PowerPoints, and we wish you the best. I know you're a junior, so maybe we might see you again next year. I don't know. But anyway, we really appreciate your service to the district as a student board representative from your school. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So are you going to next year?
Yes, I definitely am. Those prices are not.
Gina, do you want to call the 8 o'clock? All right, for those students who were putting in their hour, you got lucky tonight. I only got to hear the fun stuff.
Good.
Cheryl will be distributing the thing you need. You're, of course, welcome to stay.
That's not going to happen. I know. Really.
All right, next up, let's get started with the Superintendents Report.
Right. Before I start my report, I'd like to announce 2 new appointments. So first, as you know, first let me acknowledge a retirement. Christine Anderson is leaving Rucker in June. And of course, that we appreciate your service, Christine, to the district for many, many years. And it's been hard to find a replacement, of course, but we had some outstanding candidates, and I'm really pleased to announce tonight, sitting right in front of Christine, is the new Rucker principal, Jean Wells Southland. Jean comes to our district. She came to our district 3.5 years ago, and she's been at Rucker ever since. And but in her past, she had some experience in a couple of charter schools and Morgan Hill schools. So she comes to us with a lot of experience as a teacher and an administrator. And I think Christine's kind of been grooming her because they work so closely together. So anyway, congratulations, Jean. We're really happy to have you on our management team now. And another one I want to announce, but I hopefully won't cry. I've got to practice this, but Gina is retiring, and she and I have been together 10 years. She's been in the district for a long, long time, and we'll get a chance to talk about her on Monday at the retirement dinner. But I did want to announce, people have all been saying, oh my God, what are we going to do? Because Gina is so amazing. But anyway, we had interviews, and I selected Lucy Hirota, who is the executive assistant to our CBO, and he's still grinning, even though he didn't want to lose her. But Lucy and Gina have had a great working relationship. Lucy's filled in a number of times, and I think it's going to be a smooth transition. Of course, they'll work together a lot over the next few weeks before Gina leaves us. But I think Lucy's just going to do a fantastic job in this role, and I'm really looking forward to working with her. And she couldn't be here tonight because her daughter, Jaylene, is graduating from college. Isn't that exciting? She was a student board rep way back when. Yeah, so it's very exciting, but you'll get a chance to interact with her in the future. I have a really long report, and it's 3 minutes past 8, and we haven't started the agenda, so I'm going to condense it and let you know that I went to a lot of things this month, some unusual meetings. For instance, with Mark Turner's help, we arranged for, after the legislative summit, which happens every year, and I try to attend it every year because it's so fascinating to listen to people, but we took advantage of Ana Caballero being here and took her over to the whole South Valley complex, and Roland Velasco agreed to come also. So you can see the five of us, and others joined us on this tour, but it was great to be able to take her over and show her and Roland the impact of high-speed rail on that campus if it were to come through. So we had some in-depth conversations. We drove downtown, right through the downtown areas so that she could see the impact high-speed rail would have on many businesses, and then showed her the impact that it would have on our charter school, on our middle school, our district operations. So it was really good visit. Also unusual, our high schools only have a accreditation once every 6 years, so Gilroy High just had theirs, and I was able to attend the opening and ending segments of the visiting team, and they were very complimentary of Gilroy High. I'm not surprised I'd be very surprised if they don't get just a clear 6-year, although I heard that they're not giving clear 6 years anymore. They have a midterm visit by a couple members of the team. So, but they did very well, and it was great to sit there and hear all the positive things they had to say about Gilroy High. We're always working on safety and emergencies, and so we did our own emergency ops center tabletop exercise, and it was fascinating. So we set up our emergency operations center just like we would literally in a minute's time, hopefully. And we went through a drill and it was a school shooter scenario. And we discovered all kinds of things that we can do better by going through just practicing it as a tabletop. We had someone from the fire department here participating. It was a very meaningful exercise, and we're going to do it again because we learned a lot from this drill, so to speak. As you know, we're all concerned about Alexander Station and how kids are going to get over to Elliott safely. So a whole bunch of us from a lot of different agencies, city, we did an Elliott walk audit with about 15 of us, and we split it in half. So there are concerns on the northern side of Elliott also. So half the team went that way. The rest of us walked to Alexander Station and back to see what the potential pitfalls are. And Cheryl and I and Officer Sanford went out again and studied it some more. And we have thought of some ways to even improve, but we have a recommended route, but we're going to be very cautious about this. We're going to have staff out there the first couple weeks to help teach kids the route that we want them to take in order for them to be safe to get to and from school. So we're working on it, and the city's gonna stripe some streets, make them safer, but that's still a concern. But we feel like it's worth first a try before we start talking about transportation. We think there possibly is a really safe route if we can teach the students to follow that route. You know how kids are, they wanna go the most direct route right across that parking lot that's closed, which we won't ever want them to do. We want them to stay on the sidewalks. So we're going to spend a lot of time teaching them the right way to get to school and back home from Alexander Station.
Was there any discussion about having the lighted crosswalks like they have in downtown?
No, we didn't talk about that because you have to meet certain criteria to have those. But they are changing the lights at Alexander and 10th. So they'll be much better for pedestrian crossings because of the way it's the signalization and the timing. So they are going to fix that, and they are going to put in their new yellow, the officer could explain a lot better, but they're very visible yellow lines at some of the intersections that don't have anything right now. So we are continuing to work on it. And we'll see how it goes the first 2 or 3 weeks of the school year. See if it works to our satisfaction. Annually, the Rotary has a flower sale where they raise about half the money they then turn around and give to our students and our teachers. So Jaime and I were at the flower sale, and it went very well. It was a new location this year, corner of First. Jaime, what was the? Yeah, it's right on First, and we got a lot of business because I think we were a lot more visible. So hopefully we raised more money. I also attended, as well as James and anybody else, the Latino Family Fundraiser. It's also an event that generates a lot of money for our students, and we, especially for their youth in philanthropy program, and that was recognized. And I did a bunch of other stuff. I already mentioned some of it. It's just too much to share. But Glenview.
The principal.
Oh, good idea. The Friday night, James and I and Jennifer Del Bono attended an event with Christine Vasquez and her husband, during which Christine is our new principal of Glenview, was recognized as a first-year superstar administrator. And she definitely deserves it. She's doing a great job at Glenview, so we're really pleased to be able to nominate her for this and then be able to go to the award ceremony. And I've done site visits 1 or 2 a week, and some of you have come on those with me. So coming up, you'll see upcoming events. So there are a lot. I think I figured out between like the second week of April and June 8th, there were 25 night events and weekend events. So there's a lot of things going on. Tomorrow, if you haven't attended the Gifted Games, try to go by for a little bit. It's one of the coolest events in the district each year, where our students and San Benito High School students compete in a Special Olympics type atmosphere. It's a great event. I love going to it. So if you can get to it, it'd be great. And you can see the other activities. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings.
Thanks, Rucker people, for coming.
Next up, we have the consent agenda. We removed item L, so I will entertain a motion for items A through
K and M and N.
K and M and N.
Move approval.
All right, this is a roll call vote.
B.C. Doyle,
Yes.
Mark Good,
Yes.
Pat Midgard, James Pace,
Yes.
Linda Pacino, absent, Jaime Rosso.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, item 6A, District English Learner Advisory Committee, the DLAC, annual report to the school board.
Thanks.
Good evening, Vice President Pace, members of the board, and Dr. Flores. This is our annual report of the English Learner Advisory Committee, and I'm going to invite some of our members up to join me. So these are members of our DLAC. They've been patiently waiting, and some members of our school ELACs, and so they'll be joining me this evening. I'm going to keep, thanks. I'm going to keep my section short. I don't know what happened here. It's fine. Short because we're going to have an opportunity to hear from some of the parents this evening who were involved in the presentation this year for our parent university. I'm very proud of the work that they did. But before I begin, I do want to say that it really takes a great act of dedication for parents to come out in the evening, not only to their school, but this is a district committee. So they do a great job of representing their school site, but in addition, they go above and beyond that because they act as liaisons between the district and their school site. So, you know, it's a lot to ask them after a full day of working and being with their children to come out and participate in yet another committee, but it's a very important role that they play, and they take it very seriously, and I'm very indebted to them for the work that they do. Sorry. So our goal, again, is to have that connection between the school sites and the district, and to provide some training for our committee members so that they can carry that leadership forward. And actually, we've been quite successful in that area with Project to Inspire. Over the last several years, we've given a lot of training to parents, both at ELACs and at DLACs, and now they're taking it to the next level, such that actually next year, we're going to have a group of parent leader trainers. They're in training right now, so they'll be able able to go out to school sites and deliver professional development to parents at the school sites or their ELAC or other parent groups. And that's a big step. They're getting training, they feel confident, and I think that it's going to be well received when parents are talking to fellow parents about the education and their role as parents. Some of the topics that we covered this year are, we have some mandated topics that go over what their role is, and then we, of course, talk about student achievement and the new LPAC and CASP, school plans, and what's their role in finding out about school plans. This group is extremely proficient. They know the acronyms, they know what LCAP is about, because they've heard this for over several years, and because they're involved at their school site. And of course, we do planning for Parent University, but we also have presenters come in. We had a great one on nutrition this time, who actually made foods for us and taught us a lot about appropriate nutrition and how to cook for our families. We had a great section with Jennifer Del Bono on social emotional learning, a session on digital citizenship, and of course, we do the LCAP. So here we are at the University of Parent University, and I did want to introduce, now I'm going to give it over to a couple of parents who are going to talk about Parent University, but we've always tried a lot of different things at Parent University, and this time I was very, very proud that parents took complete leadership about this section, and Mr. Pace is there nodding because he was there participating, as was Dr. Flores. I thought they did a great job. They really had the audience engaged, but they planned this whole thing themselves and delivered it. It was very, very well done. So I'm going to ask them to talk about it, but please introduce yourself. Maria?
Buenas noches.
We're going to have Maria translate.
Ajá, el micrófono que acabo que tengo la voz fuerte.
Pase aquí porque yo le voy a poner.
Sí, que ella traduzca. Gracias por su tiempo.
Thank you very much for your time.
Han escuchado seguramente del efecto dominó.
You have probably heard the domino effect
O del efecto mariposa.
or the butterfly effect.
Justo es lo que estamos haciendo
This is what we are doing
con Miss Bierman,
with Mrs. Bierman,
los papás y los maestros de las escuelas.
parents and teachers at
Los
schools,
directores de las escuelas.
the school
todos,
principals.
ajá, estamos trabajando
We're all working together
para mejorar
to improve
en cualquier sentido que nos apoye el distrito
any way that the district will support us
a educar mejor a nuestros hijos.
to better educate our children.
Es muy importante para
It is
nosotros
very important to us,
el apoyo que recibimos,
the support that we receive,
porque a raíz de esto, o como motivo de esto,
because the basis of this,
nosotros vamos a la escuela, a la Universidad de Padres,
we attend or participate in the Parent University
como consecuencia de el proyecto Inspire,
because of the program or project Inspire,
donde nos hablan de diferentes temas
where we cover different topics
bueno, para poder hacer nuestra función mejor.
so that we could perform our functions better.
Y pues vamos a ver ahorita algo más que se está haciendo.
And we will show you something else that we're doing.
Otra compañera, por favor.
Have somebody else speak.
Hi, my name is Kenya. I'm a parent. I came here last year, thanking the board members. Thank you again for having Parent University, and also for giving us the support as parents that we can become leaders in our community. I am very thankful to say that this is my fourth year attending. My child is in third grade at the moment, and I attend Rucker with him, and I became a parent from Project to Inspire, and at the moment, I attended Parent University, and I was one of the presenters, but also, can you, the next slide? But also as a presenter for CABE. I am now doing the classes for Project to Inspire for the community because it inspires me, it motivates me, and because I want to make the community a better place for the kids, for my child, for the kids that are coming after him. So thank you, and I want to thank all these parents here that are leaders. that are motivating other dads, other moms in different schools, in Las Animas, in Rucker, in Rod Kelly, in Solorzano, in South Valley, and I'm from Rucker. Thank you.
Para terminar,
To end,
3 horas más. No es cierto.
3 more hours lasting,
No es cierto. Un minuto más. O
one
dos.
more, 1 or 2 more minutes.
Es precisamente porque queremos potenciar los recursos
Because we want to
que tenemos,
have those resources and use them as much potential as possible.
tanto humanos, económicos, de tiempo, de espacio.
As human beings, economics of time and space,
Queremos pedirles, estamos solicitando
we would like
a
to request
Ms. Bierman
for Ms. Bierman
que nos apoye, que de
to
hecho,
support
pues,
us,
más aún, más de lo que
even
nos
more
apoya,
than she has already given us her support,
para cambiar la fecha
so that we
de la
can
Universidad de
change the date for the parent university.
Nosotros consideramos que el mes de octubre
We feel that a month of October,
es un excelente mes o un mejor mes para atraer
it
más
is the
padres.
right month to attract more parents to attend.
Y precisamente para que ese efecto dominó y mariposa
And that is the domino and the butterfly effect
tenga mayor poder.
will have better power, more
Entonces,
potential.
esa es la idea y
This
bueno,
is the idea that we have.
muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, I'd like to ask the other parents that are here just to step up, introduce themselves, and tell which school they represent.
My name is Tina Lopez, and I'm the ELAC president at South Valley Middle School, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Good evening, all of you. I am Dolores Moreno, and I represent Solorzano, and I'm the president there, and I'm the elected president for DILAC. So thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Marisela. Yo me represento a Rock Kelly. Soy vicepresidente de ILAC, vicepresidente de DILAC, y también vengo de Gilroy y Christopher High School. Gracias.
I think you got that translation. And Kenya, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sarah Arizola, and I represent Christopher Hyde. I'm a president and, well, second president, and I represent Rutgers School. I have a student there, too. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Alma Sánchez, represento la Escuela de las Ánimas, soy secretaria de ILAC y estamos muy felices con todo el apoyo que tenemos.
We're very happy with all the support that we have.
Okay, thank you all. And I want to say some of these ladies are extremely faithful, coming to the meetings, helping with whatever needs to be done. And yes, they are true leaders. So we're really, really excited about them. These are some of our reflections at the end of the year. You can read for yourself the comments that the parents made, what they are getting out of the committee. But more importantly, I think we are the winners. What they're giving us is much more. What they give each other is much more. They really do act as a support. I love the last comment. It was a great camaraderie that we had as a team, and we had fun, but we worked hard. And I really see a lot of growth in all of us, thanks to the support from the DLAC. So I appreciate everything that they do. And yes, we are going to change the date because this group was very convincing. And so I said, that's really tough at the beginning of the year. And, no, we're going to do it. So we're going to have the event at South Valley Middle School on October 13th. So we're planning now. Yay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all your service to our kids. All right, next up we have Facilities Use Information Report. Ms. Galloway.
All right. Today we're going to talk about facilities use, and let's just go straight into it. So we want to talk about revenue first. For the 2016-17 fiscal year, we brought in $193,296. And so far this year, we're up to $220,315, though I will tell you I billed an additional $39,000 this afternoon, so you can throw that on the bottom there to $259,000. Just wanted to remind you what the goals were with the Facilities Use Board goals. So we want to support community-based events in compliance with the Civic Center Act. We have a lot of students in Gilroy who want to do extracurricular activities outside of school. We have a lot of athletes. They swim, they play basketball, they play baseball, they do all of these things, but we're very limited within our teams. You know, we have a lot of kids that try out for basketball. Not everybody can make the team, so then we have these extracurricular activities at our schools outside of our teams where kids can do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. What we do have to be careful of is preventing the gifting of public funds, and we'll go over that a little more later. When we started this, or when I started taking on this position, the goal was to collect $100,000 per year, so we're doing very well. And to maintain and protect our schools, you know, we get bond money from the community to be able to put in our new football fields and build buildings and things like that, so it's important that we take care of the resources that we've built. And then we want to be a good steward. Well, that's what I was talking about with the bond funding. So the Civic Center Act, it allows a school district to charge community groups for direct cost of facilities, and that includes the operating and the admin costs. Then in 2012, that changed, and they also included that we could charge for capital costs to recover maintenance, restoration, and refurbishment costs. So as we're putting in new football fields and we're replacing gym floors, we're seeing that these costs can be very extravagant. We're looking at rebuilding the pool at Gilroy High School. We're talking millions and millions of dollars. So it costs a lot of money to rebuild these things. And now the Civic Center Act allows us to charge for some of that capital cost. This is the little government code on gifting of public funds. And if you look here, number 3, public resources, it's any property or asset owned by the state or a local agency, including but not limited to land, buildings, facilities, funds, equipment, supplies, telephones, computers, vehicles, travels, and state compensated times. Number 4, use means the use of public resources which is substantial enough to result in a gain or advantage to the user or a loss to the state or local agency. We have to be really careful that we don't give public funds. People need to understand that even using a field without paying for it is gifting a public fund. So right now we have 4 current categories. We have our internal, and these are programs that directly benefit the school. So, you know, our professional development, we may have professional development at South Valley Middle School, and we have all the teachers come over and do that or wherever. So we don't charge a rental fee for that. That is an internal program. Also, our parent clubs, when they do an event for a school, it's an internal program. So they don't pay a rental fee for the site that they are a part of, but they do cover the costs of if we have to bring on a custodian, if we have to bring in a child nutrition service worker, someone like that, they pay for those costs, but they don't pay like a rental fee. The district expanded, these are nonprofit programs. The question that we've always asked is it 80% GUSD students? If it's 80% or higher, then they get the lowest nonprofit rate. And then we have nonprofit community-based programs. Those would be adult programs or programs that are kids less than 80% of GUSD or kids that come from a different school district, a different community. And then we have a commercial, those are for-profit programs. One of the changes that I'm going to propose tonight is that, and this is just for informational, you're not voting tonight, I'm just giving you information, but one of the things I'm going to propose is if you look in the green, rather than have district expanded nonprofit programs with 80% attendance for GUSD students, I never know if it's really 80%. There's no way for me to know for sure. And this school district and this community has always supported youth programs in the community. So I'm proposing we change that to nonprofit programs specifically supporting youth in our community. So it would be any youth under the age of 18. For cost recovery overview, we are working with Facilitron right now. They are our system. If somebody wants to rent a site, they go in to Facilitron, they can book it. It goes through an approval process. They do all of the billing. They make sure that it is truly a nonprofit. If you say you're a nonprofit, they check to make sure that you have a nonprofit status. They also will make sure that the insurance is correct so that we're always covered. So they've done things like that. The other thing they did is they ran a cost analysis for us, and this basically spells out the information that they used to figure out what our direct costs are, and so that we could look at where we are as far as our pricing goes. We haven't increased our pricing in 3 years now. So talking about pricing, if you look at the yellow line, that is what we're currently, those are our current rates. And then the green line is what, based on that cost analysis, we're recommending. The biggest change would be in gyms. If you look at the main gym, our nonprofit youth price right now is $17 per hour. That would go up to $35, and for the auxiliary gym, we were charging $15, and that would go up to $30. I took this information to the facility subcommittee, and they asked me to go back and run an analysis of what other groups in the area charge. So we looked at what Gavilan Community College charges for their fields and their sites. We looked at Morgan Hill School District, and we looked at the city of Gilroy. I really wrestled with the gym prices because the city of Gilroy owns and runs the auxiliary gym in Christopher High School. So if you look at auxiliary gym, we were charging $15 per hour for our auxiliary gyms. Christopher High School main gym, we charge $17 per hour. The city of Gilroy charges $35 per hour. So you could get Christopher's main gym for $17 from us, but then the auxiliary gym was $35 from the city of Gilroy. And that was for their lowest nonprofit rate. If you went to their regular rate, they were charging $50 for an auxiliary gym, where we were charging $17 for the main gym. Same thing with Solorzano. They own the Solorzano gym. So again, you could get Christopher or Gilroy's main gym for $17, but you'd pay $35 or $50 for Solorzano's. So I think our gym pricing was very low. And when we looked at the analysis, that was the difference that we were seeing as well. Otherwise, we were pretty in line. There's not a lot of changes. The swimming pools went up about $4 for the lowest price and only $2 for the middle. If you look at the fields, we did include in there, the drought cost us quite a bit of money as far as having to replant things and now keeping things from sleeping. The grass was sleeping. We're keeping it awake now. So that costs a little more, so we did include what the water costs were going to be in this analysis.
A couple questions for you.
Okay.
Is that per hour, per day? What?
Oh, these are per hour.
Per hour, okay.
Yes,
And
it's
is that, is staff time in addition to this, or does that assume some staff time?
Okay, that is a very good question. So Monday through Friday, we have custodial staff on site, and they will work until, at some sites 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So if a principal approves an event to happen during the week, but they deem that that event will not add any time to what the custodian is already doing, then there is no additional charge for custodial. However, I'll give the example of the Luigi Aprea May barbecue, which just happened on, I think, a Friday or two ago. That is a giant event. They bring in 2 additional custodians to work that entire event. So even though it's during the week, they'd pay the additional for that custodian. So if there's somebody already there and the site has deemed that it will not add any work to their job, then there's no additional fee. But that said, weekends and holidays, they pay extra for the employee time. And then also, if anyone ever uses our kitchens, we have a child nutrition service worker that has to be hired by the group, even internal, to be in the kitchen with them. There are so many laws and guidelines about how our kitchens need to be cleaned and the state that they need to be in, that it is a requirement but for our policy that they have to hire an actual child nutrition service worker to be there with them in the kitchen at all times.
Thank you. And then one last question on this. Do these proposed prices include the capital costs for renovation and those type of activities?
So if you look at the for-profit line, that includes everything. So that would be 100% there. And then if you look at the nonprofit community and the nonprofit youth, then those do not have the capital costs in them.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You're saying that if it's during the week, somebody says that it's not going to add work to our custodians? How can it not add work to our custodians? They're already swamped as it is.
So I can give you an example. If you have a parent club meeting where you have 5 or 6 parents, say it's a parent club group, they're going to meet about an event that they're having. It's a planning meeting. So you're going to have 5 or 6 parents come in and they're going to use a classroom to meet about what they're doing that night. They're not making any additional work for the custodian, as long as they're in the room before the custodian cleans it. Then when they leave, so the custodians will know what is coming on site that night, and so they'll, maybe they'll clean that classroom last. But the way that it works is, when somebody puts something in Facilitron, before it even comes to me for approval, the site has to check their calendar, make sure there's space, because Gilroy Unified programs come first. Then if there's space on the calendar, it'll go, that site secretary will send it to the principal, and the principal decides if this is going to be additional work for their custodial staff or if it's really not going to affect the job that's going to be done that night anyway. And then once they approve that and send it over, if there are any dollars attached to it all, it goes to Mr. Mesa, he approves it, then it comes to me, then it goes out as a job to be done. Also, if something happens and it turns out that we did need additional custodial work, something went awry and there's a big mess and we need to bring people in the morning, or somebody had to stay late, then we can go back and we will charge the group, and we have done that. We also do that if something gets broken. We go back in and we charge the group for whatever got broken.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, these are recommendations for you to think about, and then on May 31st, Mr. Mesa will bring this back to you for a vote. So what we're recommending is the category change that the district expanded, that is currently, if it's 80%, that it just go for nonprofit for youth. Just a very simple, easy to tell. If they're 18 or younger in the group, then it would be for district expanded nonprofit for youth. Also updating the pricing from the yellow line to the green line. And then club events. So what we have is we have a lot of different sports at our schools. And then we have clubs that support those sports. And so a perfect example would be Gilroy High School has Gilroy High School Wrestling, and then they're the Gilroy Hawks. And off-season, kids can work with the Hawks, and they're not necessarily just Gilroy High kids, but they're kids from all over the community. So when it's a club, what we're finding is a lot of the clubs are run by our coaches. And we need to be able to, for auditory purposes, and to be able to really show that we're not gifting public funds because it's the same coach running different programs, we need to have a very clear paper trail that shows this is our internal program and this is a club program. And so what I'm proposing is, instead of putting those through Facilitron, that we actually bring club programs as an MOU to the board. Something that would be looked at in June and then approved for the year, and then that club program can run for the year. That keeps it separate, that keeps it clear. This is employee time, this is internal versus this is a club event. I think you approved an MOU for mariachi. Was it mariachi group at South Valley? So it would be just like that. So when a program's going to come in for a year, it would come through an MOU. These are more partnerships. Facilitron and facilities use, it's more like a one-time, two-time, maybe they have an event that runs for a week. These events, they run the entire school year, and it's a lot more involved than just putting it in a system. So I'm recommending that for club events, they go through an MOU process instead. And then finally, I explained to you that for any kitchen services, we have a child nutrition service worker there from the district. Mr. Bombachi has put so much work into our theaters at Gilroy High School and at Rucker. We have great equipment in there, and so I'm proposing that if someone wants to use those theaters and is going to use that equipment, that we actually have one of our theater teachers would be able to go in and be hired to run the equipment for them. It's gotten very high-tech. We have to do trainings with the company that sold us the equipment. We've done that once or twice. The city of Gilroy is a joint use partner with us in those theaters. They've actually gone through the training, so they have that training as well. But if someone else wants to go in there, I'm recommending that they have to hire a theater equipment teacher as well. And that is everything I have tonight.
We have a request to speak from Jackie Stevenson. Please come on up to the podium. Podium dies? What do you call that thing?
Good evening, Superintendent Flores and board members. My name is Jackie Stevenson, and I am the membership coordinator for the Gilroy Gators swim team. Also with me is Pat Burke. He's the vice president of the board of directors this year on the swim team. I'd like to thank the school district and the board for the long history we've had servicing the students in our community. The Gators were founded in 1970 as a swim program and within the Parks and Recs Department, and in 1981 we became a nonprofit organization run by our own board of directors, which are our parent volunteers. We love the sport of swimming, and we want each of our swimmers to reach their potential in and out of the pool. We are a year-round swim team, training young swimmers as young as the age of 5 up to age 18. Our head coach, Wayne Norris, has been a swimming coach for over 40 years. He's developed his skills coaching various age groups, high school teams, and many collegiate men and women's teams as well. Coach Wayne has coached numerous teams to state championship titles in North Carolina, Indiana, and Michigan. Our 3 assistant coaches, Nick Laporto, Cece Rojas, and Kayla Reeder, are all Gilroy High School alumni who were on the Gilroy High School swim and water polo teams. In addition, we welcome back Coach Anna Brolin, who was also a Gator and a Gilroy High School alumni. And Anna went on to Washington State with the swimming scholarship, earning Pac-12 conference all-academic honors. We are the feeder program for our community's high school swim teams. Many of our team's swimmers are currently shining on the high school swim teams. Gators have 5 up-and-coming freshmen who already have CCS cuts, and we have swimmers competing in Junior Olympics and Far Westerns. We've achieved a higher level of swimming now than we ever have before. Gilroy GGST has hosted 2 annual swim clinics for all GUSD students at Gilroy High School. We are offering our clinic free of charge this year. The clinic introduces all 4 strokes while having fun. The clinic is being held in conjunction with International Water Safety Day, which promotes water safety, drowning prevention, and emergency rescue situations. This summer, we are offering a high school student training program for swimmers at a reduced cost, open to all high school swimmers in our community. This program focuses on improving technique, maintaining physical conditioning for both the high school and, swim teams and water polo teams. Off-season training can improve their skills to enter the next season more confident, faster, and stronger. GGST continues to collaborate with Gilroy Parks and Rec Department. My own daughter Rachel has been a junior lifeguard and swim instructor for 3 years. This year will be her 4th year volunteering this summer with these programs. To highlight the past 6 years, 19 GGST swimmers have been volunteer junior lifeguards with our swim program here in the community in the summer, and 20 of our swimmers have gone on to be certified Red Cross lifeguards. We look forward to addressing the board in the future with more current news and info from the Gilroy Gators. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This was just an information item, so thank you for the information. Next up, we have Project Lead the Way Computer Science Academy. Hello. Ms. Padilla.
Good evening, Vice President Pace, board members, and Superintendent Flores. So tonight is just an information item on our Project Lead the Way Science Academy and your first read of the new classes that will be adopted for our Computer Science Academy. So as part of a Project Lead the Way school, we are required to use their curriculum. So in order to use the title, and in order to use the courses, we must in fact pay for those courses. So the fee for being a Project Lead the Way school is $2,000 a year. So we have that for our Biomedical Academy, and we will have that now for our Computer Science Academy. But with that $2,000, we get a lot of benefits, including they write all the curriculum, they update the curriculum, they also provide training for our staff. They do require all staff in the program to go through training and be certified through them to teach the courses. So not only do they have to have the appropriate credential, they also have to have the training through the Project Lead the Way program. So and that training will be happening for our Computer Science Academy this summer for our teachers. So we are planning to implement these courses 1 year at a time. However, we wanted to kind of give you the full picture, and instead of bringing you each course every year, we wanted you to see the progression and what they will see over the course of a 4-year program. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions from the board?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I am up again for textbooks, and I have science teachers here. Thank you very much. So in case you have any questions about biology, I am not the right person to ask. They've learned that, so they are here to help me if you have any questions. So I'm going to go quickly through the background of the process. We use the same process for all of our adoptions. We do pilot a minimum of 2 books, and that is after our teachers have the chance to preview the books that are available and are appropriate for the grade level. So in this case, we looked at, oh, wait a minute. Where did that come from? Okay, this is not the right. This is not the right one. Let's see. This is last year, so what happened to the new one? Okay. Okay, so I don't know what happened to the new upload, so I will go through it with you. So luckily, I know it. So I will need your help in terms of the other pilot, the name of the other book that we piloted, if you guys wouldn't mind, for biology. Biology by Pearson, and then the HMH, which is the one that they've chosen. The biology
You want a
team.
copy of the slideshow?
I'm okay, so I know this well. The only thing I didn't know was the name.
It's
Thank
the 5th
you.
word on the second slide then.
Thank you. So what we did is we asked our biology teachers from each schools to come together and form a committee to pilot these books. And they did pilot these books for a minimum of 6 weeks each with our students. They did an extensive rubric on each book and then came back and then had the hard part, which was they had to come to consensus on the book that they were going to use. But actually the process, Ms. Pratt ran the process for us, and with the help of our science teachers and our NGSS instructional specialists, the process went very smoothly and they quickly came to consensus. The book that they are recommending, which I'll bring up to you, is the HMH Science Dimensions, which really they chose this one. They felt it was the most accessible to our students, and it was, in terms of the language, So part of the problem we've had with biology in the past is that the biology books have been written at the college level. So although the content is very good, the level of language was not accessible to our ninth grade students. What they liked about this book is that the language is accessible, yet the standards are still rigorous, and the expectations are the same. So I will pass around this book so you can see it. And then while our teachers are here, if you have questions specifically about biology, I will let them come up and answer before I move to the English. Yes.
My question pertains to readability, comprehensibility for students. You must have ninth graders that can't read the text. So my question is, even with the new adoption, what do you do about that?
Do you want, Janet, do you want to come up and address that? And just while they're here, again, our NGSS instructional specialists are just truly amazing. They lead all of our professional development. They plan the year. They bring their teachers together. It has just been a great experience being able to work with them. So now that I've embarrassed her, very good, Janet.
So in response to your question, a lot of it has to do with proper scaffolding. So between the two textbooks, one of them was the scaffolds they provided for Spanish. So a lot of our EL students, how do you access a text? And this text did a better job of breaking that down so that the teacher could actually act as the intermediary while using the text, as opposed to the other text was like, oh, here's all these other resources that deviated away from the text and didn't provide the proper supports.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that something is provided for students who, whether it's just their reading level or because it's a second language, they're not able to access the print.
Right, and that actually was an issue with the other one. It offered a differentiated text, but it wasn't really differentiated, so it didn't provide any access for the student, even though they claimed it did.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Any other questions on biology?
Does the new text talk about like CRISPR? Is that covered at all?
So the other version did offer CRISPR. This one was actually better in that it was more connected to technology and some of the current events and in more of the projects.
Okay. Thank you.
So.
Any others?
All right, thank you.
So the other adoption process was for our high school English language arts. As you may remember, last year we adopted our middle school program, which our middle school adopted StudySync. Our high school, actually, they chose to pilot 3 different works instead of 2. They piloted the Springboard materials. From College Board, they piloted the Pearson materials. They also piloted StudySync for that. So it took a little bit longer, which is why they did not adopt at the same time. They also spent 8 weeks with each one of the sets of material with the students instead of the traditional 6. So going through that process, using all of our different rubrics, they had a 10-page rubric to have to go through that covered universal access, it covered language, it covered rigor, it covered all of the standards that they had to go through to determine the works. And it came down to 2, which were this College Board Springboard material and the Pearson. And honestly, for grades 11 and 12, they said either one. Either one works perfectly. There was a problem when it came to 9th grade. And it is very rare that I will come before you and ask for 2 different works, one for a different school than the others. However, at our Gilroy Early College Academy, our students start in college classes starting their sophomore year with a major focus on writing. The Springboard material at 9th and 10th grade emphasizes very heavily writing. Unfortunately with that, it kind of downplays the literature aspect. However, everyone felt because our students start with college courses at 10th grade, where there is an emphasis at the university for the writing at the college level, they felt the Springboard program was more appropriate for them. The other issue was that with the literature piece, we have one teacher at GECA who then can work with the other schools and can use the same literature that they're using to kind of shore up that section of Springboard that is not there. All of our students at GECA have 9th grade, 10th grade, and then the 2 levels of AP. That is the only option for our students. Where there is much more diversity in the course offerings at the comprehensives. At the comprehensives, they felt that, well, they all felt that the Pearson material is much better with grammar and with the literature selections, with reading comprehension at the 9th grade. And that they do, in fact, improve and have the same level of rigor, especially at the 11th and 12th grade, for all aspects of the literature. They felt that the Pearson was much more accessible to all students at the 9th grade level. And so it was their recommendation that we come forward with the difference for GECA at this point compared to the other 3 schools, which you're seeing here.
Any comments or questions? So let me make sure I understand. So at GECA, the writing is not the English classes that they take. That is, they take traditional English 1, 2, 3, 4 of some sort, but they start writing in say,
their
a
college
sociology
classes.
class
Correct.
or something like that. And
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So they are taking those college level classes that do expect that level of writing in their 10th grade year. And they believe that they need that additional support in writing. And again, because there's one teacher at GECA, that teacher can work directly with the high schools and can shore up that literature piece. Where the schools, because our comprehensives are much larger and because of the changing population, and honestly, with Mount Madonna, they had the easy choice. They said 11th and 12th grade, the curricula is identical. So we're happy with either one. We don't care because by the time we get them, with the 11th and 12th, we can use either curriculum and it's fine. So it was really about that 9th and the 10th grade that they are recommending. So that's why they're recommending the Pearson at the comprehensives and Mount Madonna, because Mount Madonna will be doing the remediation for credit recovery for the 9th and 10th grade students where they did not pass one of the classes, but then also for the 11th and 12th. And I do have copies of those as well. And you will see that they are softbound because they are consumables. So like most of the companies, they are going either all online, which we are not there yet, or they are doing consumables. So this is true for our English and our math as well. So yes, they are softbound, but we get new ones for the length of the adoption.
We'll take a little reading break here.
And just by the look of them, you can see the emphasis of writing on the Springboard, and you can see the emphasis on the variety of all the standards in the Pearson work. Questions?
Anybody have any questions or comments? All right. Have we spent enough time with the text?
I'll leave them up there till the end
Okay.
of the meeting. So, and these will be on
These are
display for the
discussion.
public
Okay.
until the next board meeting, where it will come back for an action item.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, item E, approval of agreement with Final Site Web Solutions for Schools. Ms. Corona.
Thank you very much, Vice President Pace, members of the board, and Superintendent Flores. I'm having a great time in Gilroy Unified, and I just love it. So one of the tasks that I was given when Dr. Flores and I met a few times before my appointment was to look at a new web host platform. So upon starting, I found my Tiger team, and we looked at a couple of web platform providers. Our current provider is Final Site, and I'm sorry, is School Loop. Forgive me, I'm a little nervous. The annual cost to the district is over $41,000, and it provides service of 16 websites, the district office, and all school sites. It does not include ADA compliance, which we are required to have as of January 18th this year. It is not mobile friendly. So I just did a little research, and as of February last year, 52% of website access was on a smartphone or a tablet. So for people trying to access our website currently, it's very clunky. That's a good word to describe it. And it's difficult to update on the back end. So we have any number of people who are working on our school sites' websites, parent volunteers, administrative assistants, perhaps principals, depending on with the school site. So I gave us an example of a website that is currently one of our school sites that has not been updated since 2016. I did not include the school name. I was not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I was just offering the board an example of what's going on. So apparently they have a fundraiser with money due on Thursday, November 2nd. I'm not sure what year that is, but it is May. And Read Across America happened in 2016, but having children in the school system, I do know that it happened in 2018 as well. So we looked at two different web providers, Edleo and Final Site, and our team came to the consensus that our recommendation to the cabinet and to the board would be Final Site. It has a Web 2.0 feel, which means that it feels very interactive to the user. There are lots of moving parts. We can embed video into the home page or into any of the other pages. It doesn't appear static to the visitor. Anything can be embedded into the website, so there's no need to replicate content from other sites. So I'm learning a lot about web development right now, or website development. But one of the examples that our team came up with was the fires that happened in 2017. And our IT director was having to pull content from the city of Gilroy's website regarding air quality, and I don't even know where else you were pulling it from, Maribel. But she was having to constantly update the website. Well, with Final Site, we can just embed those things into the site, and it's just updating on its own. So staff time is better spent doing other really important things. The other great thing that I'm super excited about is there's the ability to update all 16 websites from my office at the district office. No need to log into the back end of individual school sites. We can do it with just a few clicks. Another great thing is you can add or edit your content in real time. So what I'm looking at on the screen as I'm editing the district site or a school site is how it's going to look to the user when they access it on their smartphone. Final Site's customer service, I checked their references, and their customer service is excellent. The things that were important to people who are far smarter than I, technology-wise, it has Google Calendar integration and SIS and other platforms, and there's a single sign-on. And then we can offer varying levels of accessibility. So there's an admin, and then editors, and moving down from there. We can integrate our social media platforms, which are coming on the site, and it is less expensive than School Loop. So this is the contract that was presented to us from Final Site. So there's an initial cost of setup for $22,500. And then a prorated amount from July 1 to December 31 of $97.50. I'm sorry, July 1 until June 31st of $97.50. And then they also offer a platform that coincides. It's called Audio Eye, and that's the mechanism that monitors all of the ADA compliance. So if you have coaches or teachers updating your website at Gilroy High or Christopher High, and perhaps what they're doing is not ADA compliant, Audio Eye is the component that comes in to make sure that that all happens on the back end. We don't know anything about, we don't know that they're out of ADA compliance. It just magically happens. So there's the cost. I think it's in your packet, and I think Gina included the contract as well. And that is my presentation.
We wanted to make sure you were aware before we made this change. I know it's been a board goal for a while that we improve our website, so I'm really excited that we finally are doing it. And the research that was done by this team was really wonderful. We appreciate that.
And I do have a quick little example to show you. So our contract with School Loop ends on July 30th. So we have a very ambitious goal of rolling out the district's website on July 1 of 2018. And then working with the elementary schools to get their websites rolled out, then middle schools, and then high schools, because the high schools have the most content on their websites. So this is Lodi's new website, and we all loved the look of it. They rolled their site out for the district in 6 weeks, so it can be done. When you access their new homepage, there's a little pop-up box that says, "Welcome to our new website." If you don't find what you're looking for here, you can access our old website, which is still in existence, but they're migrating content over. The majority of their content is there. I think when we had our call with Final Site, I think 90% of their content was on this new website, and they were just working on the other stuff.
Hit that X and show me something.
Hit the X.
Yeah, it looks pretty lame like that. It's like an error message or something.
I have to screen start.
So you see how it has an interactive feel. The homepage is scrolling. It's inviting you to join their team as a teacher. This is their kindness campaign. There's video that can be embedded. Other website examples that we looked at had drone footage on their homepage of their school sites, which was really, really cool also.
Maribel, don't let our students take apart our Chromebooks like that.
Can we make ours work? Oh, I can.
It's
I
easy
don't see
to
it,
undo
though.
things. Putting it back together, it's the hard part.
Okay. And then you'll see up at the top, these tabs all really easy to navigate. There's not a lot of choices, which is good for people as they access the website. And then this is a password protected staff login, which is something that I really think that we need to do with our staff site. Job opportunities, master plan, and then these tabs all show what's going on at the district office, different school sites, the board, et cetera, et cetera. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Anybody?
It doesn't look as informative as our current old webpage. I mean, if this website is done, I'm not completely thrilled with it.
I think that's a matter of preference. You say informative, other people say cluttered. I think it's just a potato. I'm sorry that the connection is slow.
Our current website has so much old stuff on it. It really needs to be cleaned up. If you try to find something about a topic, it's hard to search.
Well, the key is for a new person who's looking for some specific information should be able to easily find it on our website, however it looks.
Right.
Search, hit that search button, and let's something parents. School lunch.
Yeah.
Save sensible URLs.
So I think the thing that the district really needs to look at also is who the website is speaking to. We have to identify the stakeholders who are accessing the website. And I think that most people would agree that really the website should speak to parents of students either that are incoming or are current. And I'm not entirely convinced that the current website does that effectively. So if I'm a new parent to the school district, I have an incoming kinder, I want to know how I register my child, what school does my child go to, and what is required for him or her to attend on the first day. And that stuff needs to be easily found on the homepage, and currently, it is not.
What's the address of the district?
I think if you scroll down, this is not the full site. There it is, right there.
Okay, great.
All right, in the proposal, there's a there's a section on digital advertising. Tell me more.
Well, that was a question that you asked, and we got input from the final site rep, and he said that that's something that usually that's something that is utilized by schools that are not public schools. And I don't remember the vocabulary that he used, but that would not be something that we would do. It's not even included in the contract for us.
Good. And it looks like HTTPS is the default, at least on this page?
Yes.
Okay. Is there like a staging area? So before you roll changes out, can you
Yes.
preview them on a live-looking site?
So they'll beta test everything that we do before we launch live to the public.
I guess I'm just saying, the workflow, is there a workflow tool, and can you see what in a year somebody's updating a web page, can they see it before they push it out to the live internet?
Absolutely, and the
Okay.
beauty of Final Site is that when you're updating whatever page you're working on, it looks in real time like it looks as you're editing it like it will look in real time. So right now, if we pulled up the back end of School Loop, it is far different than what people are seeing when they access the website
Okay.
as a user.
And then are there ways to roll back your changes? Say somebody pushes
Undo.
something.
Undo, basically.
Okay.
Like an
And-
undo button? Yes.
No, not an undo button. Once I've released the page, but then I want to
Archive it?
just go back to the previous version. Is
Sure.
there version
Sure.
control? Okay. And I guess, is there a workflow so that, say, a parent makes a change, can it automatically be routed to a principal or to the DO or something like that before it gets published, or?
Yes, that is, I think it's taken care of in the roles. So
Okay.
I would be an administrator for the district site, so would Maribel, so would some other folks at the district office. And then a parent volunteer might have editor rights or something to that effect. So they can't ruin it, they can't break it, right?
You underestimate people.
No. They will have editing rights, but they can't go in and just blow up
But they
everything.
can publish to the live site.
They can publish to the live site based on their rights.
Say we didn't want that.
Then we don't give them the access. We control the access.
Okay.
There is one role in which you can embed a workflow. But as she said, it is based on roles and webmasters or administrators for a site. So let's say that if I wanted to review your content before it gets published every time,
Yes.
you will be able to submit your content, but it will not be published until I review and approve.
That's exactly right.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. I
okay.
apologize.
Okay. And the back end, is this hosted, or are we running it on a server here?
It is hosted, and I did ask about where they're hosting it. They have their servers in 3 different data centers. In case, one goes down or, internet goes down at that data center, the other ones will be back up to those.
And it's fairly local, that is
The
low ping
data
times?
centers, no, I think that one is, I think they mentioned Vegas.
Okay. That's local.
Okay. Sacramento, I think, is the second one. I don't remember where the third one is.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I guess this is an approval. So anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, this is an action item. I will entertain a motion.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second, and this is all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? With board members Paceno and Bass absent. Thank you very much. Good luck. You have till July 1st. All right, next up, third interim financial report. Ms. Mason and Mr. Mesa.
Thank you, Trustee Pace. Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent. Good evening, members of the public. Tonight, we bring you the third interim financial report, and it looks a little bit different because we've added a couple of slides that are not the usual financial picture, not just the usual variances between the second interim versus third interim and cash flow, because I thought we were to the point where we could use a little reminders of critical variables that are critical to the financial solvency of the district. And so we've highlighted those tonight on the report. I think it's very informative information, good information to have. But Kimberly will start us off with a global picture, and then you'll see me chiming in on these new slides that I think are important and critical to note at this point in time.
Good evening. So as Mr. Mesa said, we're just going to go over the third interim financial report. Again, this one is optional for Gilroy Unified. We do it to get a better look at what we are going to end up for this year and going into the next year. So this slide here is your 2017-18 total general fund revenues. It's both unrestricted and restricted. And the first three top pots of money there is the state aid, Prop 30, and property taxes, which make up our main LCFF, the local control funding formula. And also just wanted to point out that the other state revenue is made up most of, around 2% of that is just your lottery dollars. And this slide here is the total actual general fund expenditures, both restricted and unrestricted. And if you look at the top three there, the majority of our expenditures are with total salary compensation of all the bargaining units. And in this slide here, the certificated, classified, and benefits would add up to around 72%. However, if you were to go here to the next slide, if you were to take out our one-time funds that we have currently right now and look at the salary expenditures compared to all others, you know, books, supplies, contracted services, and so forth, it would be around 87%. And this slide here is taking what we came to you, I believe in, what are we in, March for a second interim, and versus third interim on the unrestricted side only of the general fund. And so you'll see there we had a little bit more revenue, and that was mainly in interest and local revenue. For example, your, I can't even think, your donation accounts and so forth. And we had a little bit more interest in the general fund. And then the expenditures, most of that was due to the CSEA and management salary increases. And so the delta there between the two is 359 less for third interim. And then also too, if you look, the net increase or decrease to the fund balance, the 7.7 million, that is because a lot of our one-time funds we're spending, deficit spending, is because it's one-time unrestricted general fund dollars. Okay. Oh, I didn't know this little fancy tool. So, and a lot of our one-time dollars, they can't go on to carry on. They're just for one-time obligations. It's not something that you can keep going with because that money will be gone. And if you look at this next slide here was, we listed some of our main carryover funds from those one-time funds, and the top three there are already spent out in this current year. And then Alvaro or Ms. Mesa will go over the next couple slides.
Thank you, Kimberly. This is one of the slides that we've added, notably because it's, since you remember the fall, we had a couple of study sessions when we were looking to build a new elementary school. And the birth rates was one of the critical pieces, along with the 10-year forecast from our demographer, that really made us reconsider that. And for right now, we're looking at those bond funds and, of course, reprioritizing them for the middle schools, which are in need of that. But really, the birth rates, if you look at this year 2011, those are first graders right now. That's a long way for being over 1,000 birth counts. These are birth counts, not birth rates, birth counts in the city of Gilroy, and specifically in the zip code of Gilroy, because I guess there is a difference. So if you look at the zip code of 95020 and you look at birth counts annually, they have dropped from over 1,019 all the way to around 840, 843. The birth rate data I'm trying to still gather from the county, the person that calculates it and distributes that information for the city, has promised me that he will give it to me as soon as he calculates it, but I guess there is a process. But we think that it's going to be right around this same range. So we're not going to be expected to generate additional enrollment coming into kinder. So that'll obviously flow through the K-12 system of our Gilroy Unified School District. So that's something that we have to look at, put it in here as part of our third interim report, because obviously birth counts lead to enrollment, which enrollment...
Today, there was a report that the U.S. birth rate is the lowest since the early 70s.
Right, and there's a lot of thank you, Trustee Pace. There's a lot of factors for that, of course, housing, cost of living. There's a number of variables to take into account. But why it's meaningful is because birth counts matter, right? They're directly correlated to the kinder enrollments, et cetera. And what we had seen before is the new housing developments were offsetting those losses. That's not true anymore. Enrollment, we had a significant enrollment decrease this year, which leads to attendance drops. They're correlated. So this is average daily attendance from the prior year, 16-17, a total of 10,888.96. And there's a reason for the decimals here, and I put this purposely like this because these are not projections. So this doesn't mean that we're fractionalizing a student. That's not the point. The point is that these are actual P2 prior period attendance reporting from the beginning of school year through mid-April, our actual average daily attendance. These are not projections. These are actual numbers, and it does drive and impact our funding. The difference of that is 249 students. I'll just say 250. It's a $2.2 million ongoing loss that we won't have. And let me say that again, it's a $2.2 million loss ongoing every year that we'll get less unless those 250 students come back with the attendance along with them. And why aren't we talking budget cuts now for immediately in the next year? Is because our multi-year projection has been conservative in the subsequent years. And that's a trend that I think we should continue for as long as we can, because it does give us an opportunity to correct this. Should we have another drop of 250 or 200 or even 100 kids the following year, and I mean 18, 19, we'd be looking at cuts. We wouldn't be talking about maintaining the salary proposals that we have on the table at this point. A reminder that the pension contribution rates were at one point even zero in the case of PERS. I remember those days because I started in school business here in 2002. And I remember this climb, and boy, did it feel really terrible at that point. And now we're getting to 18, 19, we're looking at PERS rates that have just gone up that you'll see in a minute, and they're projected to go all the way to 26%. This is just one of the many statutory rates that the employer has to pay. When you combine workers' comp, every other statutory rate that we have to pay, we'll get easily over 30%. So that means 30 cents on every dollar we have to pay on statutes, let alone the base salary. So it's just higher cost. So at a point where our revenue stream is taking a hit of $2.2 million, that's an ongoing hit. We're also taking an ongoing hit in the rising cost of pensions. So we are feeling squeezed because the dollar that we received in 07, 08, like the governor promised to get us to fully fund it at that level, isn't $1 now. Why did that happen, Maribel? The screen just went blank on me. Maribel will work on, so that I can, there you go, thank you, Maribel. So these are higher pension costs. It was an annual cost of $1.3 million, so that's a huge cost, right? When you look at total compensation for all bargaining units, you know, 800 and, I'm just using round numbers, 880,000, it's 1% for all units. It happened again, Maribel. It's $1.3 million cost annually that I have to add to the budget to cover simply the rising cost in pensions. With the latest increases from PERS, as you can see the red lines there, that climbs to 1.4, 1.5 million annually. And that's not expected to change. So the point is, our new revenue, even with the LCFF being fully funded, as the governor promised on his last on his way out, and as you'll see in a minute with the May revise, the purchasing power isn't what it was. It's not fulfilling his promise. Pension costs are higher by a significant amount, and we're not seeing any relief for those costs. This is just a summary of all the other funds. The SACS forms have been included in your packet just to provide you with all the information. This is just a snapshot of all the other funds as of third interim, and we entertain questions at the end. Part of the reason why the third interim is presented to you is to make sure that the district ends up in a positive cash, and Kimberly will now continue the presentation on the cash flow.
Okay, so again, this is just the monthly cash flow update, and by the time that this was turned in order to get to the board on time, we got to the end of March there. So you'll see that your beginning cash balance for March was a little over 18.8 million, and then your cash flow in for that month was a little over 13.6 million, and then expenditures and so forth were a little over or close to 9.6 million, and you have a positive increase of 4 million there. And then if you look at the ending cash at that point in time in March with the trans, it was around 23.2. And then without a trans, it would have been the 19.8. I just wanted to point out that, you know, we're in May, and the entire tran has been paid back. And so now we're working without a trans balance. You'll see that April, May, and June, there is no difference there on those two columns there, ending cash balance with trans and without trans. And then the March total payroll there was a little over 8.3 and 87% of the entire expenditures. And then again, this is the other graph after payroll has always hit for the month, showing the different levels of cash out and in. Oh, nice. So any questions or?
Trustees? All right, with no questions, I guess we will approve the third interim financial report.
For approval?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? With board members Paceno and Bass absent. Thank you very much. Next up, the update on the governor's May revision for the 1819 state budget. Mr. Meza.
Thank you, Trustee Pace. As I mentioned before, the governor has introduced his last budget proposal as governor before he terms out. And he had made a commitment that now he's going to be projected to fulfill 2 years in advance, which is to fully fund the local control funding formula in 2018-19, 2 years full in advance of his target. This is just a timeline of the milestones of the budget development process for the state. So we are, of course, in May, and he has proposed the May revision. That basically says that whatever he proposed in January gets to be revised in May, taking into account economic trends, the latest collections in state revenues and such. And then he forecasts that to be the budget that the legislature they call it the Big Five, and his office negotiates all the way through mid-June before a budget is enacted. In late June, we take our budget to you and you approve it. So really for all our purposes, really the May revision becomes our checkpoint, the last possible checkpoint, because we can't wait for the state budget to be done. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we need to do to make sure that all those checks are run in place, meaning all the criteria and standards, all the number of checks that we have to run in our systems to be able to bring you a budget on time. So for all intents and purposes, the May revision is the last piece of information that school districts use. And then if there are major variances between what the state budget, enacted budget, has in place in relation to what we brought you as assumptions, then we come back 45 days later with a revised budget. That is not expected to take place. The governor, even though there's a amount of $8 billion of state surplus, Prop 98 is the minimum guarantee to fund public schools. And of course, Prop 98 is being manipulated to give us the minimum because there's 3 tests essentially of applying Prop 98. And we're currently falling under test 2, which is essentially business as usual. It's based on per capita tax in the state of California, which is essentially schools do as good as any citizen would in these normal circumstances, and it's not being adjusted for growth because average daily attendance is flatlined at the state level. So we don't have that adjustment there to push up that minimum guarantee. And it is a minimum, so he could propose to the legislature, let's fully fund the LCFF and let's take care of that STRS and PERS obligation that they have to deal with. No, it's treated as a minimum. And that is truly a state of sad affairs for a nation that has California being the 5th largest economy in the world, or 6th or something like that. And yet we fund public schools 46 in the nation. So that's really stark, a stark statistic for me anyway. But anyway, the major news for the May revise is it doesn't look really anything materially different than the January proposal. The January proposal funded Prop 98 at $78.3 billion, Prop 98, and then it went up to $78.4 billion. So really no change there. Other areas of the budget are seeing one-time increases, significantly Medi-Cal, $2 billion proposal as one-time again for infrastructure, to targeting universities, courts, other areas of the budget. There's little amounts for homeless as one-time funds, mental health as one-time funds, and another round of one-time mandate repayment. Other one-time proposals that could be of interest is improving school climate. We would be interested in that, but there's just not a whole lot of money there. Overall, this would yield probably $20,000 to Gilroy Unified. And that's a proposal at this point. Of course, all these things are until they're enacted into law. With the May revision, the governor is proposing to fully fund the rainy day fund to, I think, $13.8 billion, which could, one argue, could save public schools from a recession, except that a recession, the LAO says, could cost anywhere between $25 billion to $30 billion, and a rainy day fund of $13 billion isn't going to save anybody. We're still going to have the cuts that we had in 2002 and in 2007 all the way through. So the rainy day fund, it's only a stopgap and a very temporary one before we see a big, cuts, deep cuts to education again, just as we're getting to the fully funded target level. Well, impacts to public education, K-12, these are the big global numbers I think that matter. You can see a very little difference here from Prop 98, 78.3, 78.4 billion, essentially flat. Small increases in one-time funds are being proposed. So remember my multi-year projection had $1.5 million of one-time revenue budgeted in. You'll see that comfort level increased significantly now that he's proposing $2 billion and having that excess of $8 billion for the legislature to look at before they even look at this $2 billion as a priority or suggesting that to come down at all. The cost of living adjustment has been increased from 2.57 to 2.71. And in it, in the May proposal, he says, I'm going to increase the base fractionally so that all in sees an increase of 3% overall. And that'll be incorporated in the multi-year projection that you see in a minute. Critical variables that I've updated in the multi-year projection is obviously the ADA, the numbers that we shared with you before, that drop of ADA, and I'm going to round up to 250 average daily attendance. That's a drop of 2.2 million. We should be talking budget cuts, but we aren't yet because we've been conservative in the multi-year projection. And updated CalPERS rates, those are also a hit to the budget. Those are ongoing increases in cost. And again, I want to stress revenues are declining, right? Revenues we're getting that less of $2.2 million to the district, while costs are increasing. So we're going to naturally feel the pinch, and that's going to come in the way of deficit spending. Deficit spending comes from your reserves. Until you make an operational cut, that's an ongoing to offset those increases. And this also includes higher county costs for special ed, which we are still getting and solidifying for next year. So the MYP that you're about to see, consider it a draft form because it will be changing until the budget for the public hearing that will be brought to you on May 31st is done. So I'm sorry for the small font. I wanted to get it all on one page. The big numbers are highlighted in green. The key takeaway here is that I had to add another year to the multi-year projection because you're used to seeing 3 years, the current year for the multi-year projection and subsequent 2. Well, we're so close to me essentially ignoring the base year because I have to bring you a budget for a public hearing and adoption in the very next meeting and then add these 2 years. So I might as well just add it now and show you what the real impacts are on ongoing obligations with the revenue that we're expecting, with $3 million of one-time funds being included in there, yet not bringing a plan for you to spend a single dime of that $3 million because we need it, because we're deficit spending, because we want to be conservative on the revenue assumptions so that we don't have to dip into the 7% reserve, because we don't know if we're going to decline in enrollment again next year. And then if we overstretch ourselves with budgeting 100% of the revenues, we'd be in a bad place right now. So deficit spending, Kimberly highlighted the 7.7 million. I think she explained that. That's a lot of one-time funds being spent this year. We remove all that one-time funds that we can see. The books and supplies are at 9 million. That's a lot of the carryover. It's a lot of the stuff that we have budgeted in there, as well as in services and operating expenses. For instance, the roof replacement that was done to this very building was deferred maintenance carryover. Guess what? Deferred maintenance carryover is budgeted in the general fund, and we get a whole $332,000 from the state to fund deferred maintenance. We match it with another $380,000 for a total of $712 or so. That's it. Thank God our community supports the bonds, because that's how we're able to provide adequate facilities through the bond measures. And we're grateful for our community for that. Had it not been for that, the general fund has to pitch in for all these roof replacements, for all these facility issues that are to the state is basic priority number 1. So the bonds allow us, thanks to the community and the support, to take care of Brownell, to redo South Valley when we get to them without touching the general fund. Otherwise, we would have to look at general fund or other ways of financing that via issuing external debt through a COP, as we have done in the past, or just issue a low municipal issuance of debt. I'm sorry, I'm probably doing that myself. So look at next year. $3.4 million ongoing revenue. That's based on the fully funded model. That might come up a little bit. This $3 million, right now, I'm comfortable with that $3 million. It could be as high as 3.6 if the May revision is fully implemented. But I've looked at a version of all this with 100% revenues, with 100% of what we have proposed to the bargaining units at 2%, assuming all employees take it. And that number there stays at essentially 7%. With the $3.6 million there, the whole revenue, rather than the 50% up here, we take care of the deficit spending, and there's nothing there for one-time revenue here as expenses, and we land to 7%. So we are already to the point where if we just say what we want to do, we're already to the minimum here. Absent decreases in enrollment, absent special ed increases that the county may have, we are already there at the 7% minimum, even in the best case scenario. So there will be no plan that I can bring you, unfortunately, for the one-time money, because we need it to basically weather the storm and figure out if the new housing is going to generate enrollment, which we haven't seen based on the 10-year forecast, and we'll just have to wait and see. This year it will be critical, because we were surprised by that 250 ADA drop, and we don't want to be surprised again if things don't go our way. So risk to the proposal, obviously there's always a variance, hopefully not very material, to public schools between the May revision and the enacted budget that the governor was signing to law for the very last time before he terms out. The legislature's going to have to mull over that $8 billion and see what they want to do. The governor so far has been really a champion for not bringing back the old categorical programs. Every senator wants something with his name on it. He's really let the boards, the local control, be at your hands board. And so he's championed that. He has. And he gets a lot of credit for that. I wish he would do more with the pensions, with that extra money. But we can just hope that the next governor does. Economic risk, there's always the volatility of capital tax gains. The high wealth folks, the top 1% folks, pay a large share of the state revenues, just about 40% or so. So as they do good, the state does good, and then the state doesn't have to then backfill that share of the budget. Otherwise, it raises the obligation to the state, and it's what happened in the cuts of '07, right? It was a housing collapse, and then the state had a pinch where the revenue wasn't coming in, and they had the obligations to Prop 98. And so what they do is they started with a mid-year cut, and then implemented a 20% cut, and then off we went, and you know the rest. Deep cuts that we're still finally being paid for. And that's really what LCFF fully funding target means, is now we're being paid all those cuts, $20 million worth of cuts that Gilroy Unified took over those tough times. And that's really what this is about, is paying back for all those cuts. It hasn't raised California pupil funding significantly at all. We're still 46, and he calls it a fully funded level. Local Gilroy Unified is, of course, declining in enrollment significantly. That's not something that we had experienced in decades. An enrollment decline of that nature is huge. $2.2 million of ongoing revenue is significant. Our unduplicated count with our changing population and our enrollment decrease could significantly change that 57%. Right now it's 59% unduplicated count. This is a targeted group that drives our supplemental and concentration funds. That could change, so we're keeping an eye on that. Our multi-year forecast 57% as it has in the past. And our contributions to special ed and transportation continue to rise just simply because we are not getting adequate funding for those. It's nothing that we are not trying to do. It's just that those are underfunded programs, period. That's simply what it is. So the next steps is obviously negotiations with GTA and the paraprofessionals for this current year, 17-18. And then we'll monitor, of course, the negotiations between the legislature and the governor right up to the very last minute before we lock everything in our financial systems and bring you a budget for a public hearing on May 31st. The board will also obviously have a public hearing on the LCAP, the Local Control Accountability Plan, at the very next meeting, as well as our budget, before we take action on that budget on June 14th. questions?
Sobering news. Any comments?
Yeah, just, so we'll know whether this was just a flash in the pan or it's a trend, the ADA, the loss of revenue, in October?
In October, we'll get our CBEDs, preliminary CBEDs. That's the enrollment window. I would have said a year ago today or so that, you know, the indicator of the first day of school would have been a good one because we would have added 2% to that number, but we were proven wrong on that trend last year. We never recover from that loss, and it just kept coming down. And unfortunately, that was a bad signal. And because it was a break in the long-lasting trend that we had, we didn't pick it up. I didn't pick it up, I didn't see it. I thought we were gonna get the typical 2% bump, because had opening day would have resulted in the typical 2% bump in enrollment, because CBETS tends to be a peak in the enrollment period, we would have been right at the projected amount of enrollment. So everything seemed to line up. Opening day, okay, I inflate that by 2%, because by October, from August to October, we usually pick up that 2%. I mean, we would have been right there. So you're right, we won't know that until October, unfortunately. We'll start opening day, of course, it's a critical point. I'll work with Mr. Winslow, our Assistant Super of HR, to make adjustments as necessary for opening day to make sure that we're ready for those. But right now, we're being really prudent about how we staff, how we allocate that FTE to make sure that we're not gonna be overstaffed at any one grade level.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, item 7, facilities. A, approval of contract with Opening Technologies for the installation of safe school locks at all 8 elementary schools. Mr. McAuliffe? And Mr. Mesa.
Thank you, Trustee Pace. I just want to clarify that there was some misinformation that this expenditure, proposed expenditure, was going to be funded out of the general fund. What I can say is it is funded out of Measure P. It's the same funding source that in the past provided funding for the high school safe locks, because they all have them, including GECA and Mount Madonna. And now we're moving towards, and we have also the safe school locks at middle schools, which were also funded through Measure P bond funds. And I think part of the discussion and confusion was that in the facilities subcommittee, we did say if we need to fund this out of the general fund because it was such a safety measure, that we should figure out how to fund it. Now, we did figure out how to fund it, and that was through Measure P, because Measure P had an allocation of $3 million to deal with the part of the soft costs associated with the elementary school, and we haven't used all that, and there is no expectation that we're going to use that because all the bills have been paid essentially for that, and we can use that essential allocation out of Measure P to continue to fund the safe school locks out of bond funds and not the general fund. So it is not the general fund, even one-time funds, that is financing or funding this. It is the bond funds that's paying for these safe school locks. And we think that obviously there's some issues with equity around 8 elementary schools not having the same kind of safety and security features that have been recommended by GDP. They have walked every campus and are making these kinds of recommendations to us. So I think it's incumbent upon us to find a solution. And we were ready to take our one-time money if we needed to do that, but I'm happy to report to you, Board, that we can fund these out of the general obligation bond of Measure P.
Before you go, is there any indication that the state or federal governments are about to send $1 million to us that we could use to do these school locks?
No, there's proposals just like the minor proposals on, say, school climate that, you know, sound great, but they really yield $20,000 to us. And we can't, obviously, and I expect a similar amount to those kinds of things. It's not going to be enough. And I think that the safety of our students, whether it be high school, middle school, elementary, should be a top priority for us. And I think when you look at what the police officers, GDP, they're recommending to us.
Only
is
a
to have
bean
the same
counter
software.
would call it GDP. It's GPD. GDP is something else
sorry.
entirely.
Gilroy
Police
Department.
Not gross domestic product.
I'm sorry, I'm an economist, I'm sorry. GDP, not gross domestic product. Thank you. You're probably the only one that caught that. But now, Mr. McAuliffe will have some details on that.
So tonight, we have the contract with Opening Technologies. It is, they assessed, it was quite a process. They sent 2 people out, spent 2 weeks, I think, walking our school sites, checking every door. So this is inclusive of every door that at least 5 people could be behind. We'll have safe school locks. Same standards and specs were used to develop these bids that were used for all the upgrades that Opening Technologies have used and were given for South Valley, Solorzano, Brownell, Gilroy High, Mount Madonna. I think there's more, but they have done all the upgrades for the district. So as Alvaro mentioned, it'll be Measure P funds, and it's $923,000, $831.40. And we do have 2 people from Opening Technologies. If you have any technical questions, they can probably answer them better than I can.
I have some, like, the bids were complete Greek to me.
Uh-huh.
And I don't understand why, for example, you look at Elliott School, 132 doors, it's 41,000. And yet you go to Rod Kelly with 125 doors, less doors, and it's 145,000.
That's due to the existing hardware, but Matt can probably answer this better than I can. This is Matt Remington from Opening Technologies. He's one of the managers.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Lord. So yes, and that is exactly the answer, is that Elliott is minor in regard to changing out hardware, whereas Rod Kelly has a lot more major based on the age of the school and the age of the hardware that's on it.
Okay, so in some cases, some of the hardware you're reusing.
In some cases, we're reusing, we're modifying the existing hardware as opposed to replacing it completely, yes.
Okay, all right. And then what's I see a lot of Primus full-size IC core. What is that?
Security cylinders
Okay.
to make it, so that it's okay. It's okay. Security Primus cylinder would be a keyed cylinder so that the elementary schools are on the same key system as the middle school in the district. And so that none of the teachers, none of the staff can go and copy that key and make one for their wife, husband, significant other, or just sell one on the open market. And so that the security of the site, student, staff, assets continue right on through.
Okay, and what's the difference between that and a full-size IC core?
On the inside, you don't necessarily need a Primus core, but a Primus key will still operate it.
Okay.
And Primus is a company?
Primus is a brand of Schlage, and it actually has additional factors in the cylinder to keep a standard key from operating it, or to keep another key from operating it, or to make it even more difficult to duplicate that key.
Is it kind of like and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, either Medico or Medco?
Medico has different technology. They use different technology in their cores and in their keys in order to differentiate the security of it, yes.
Would make it difficult to duplicate keys.
It's very much so, yes. You need yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm
Thank
glad
you,
you
Matt.
came.
Matt explained that much better than I could. Thank you.
Hey, Dan, do
Yes.
we need these? We have magnets. Would you like to talk about
Absolutely, we need
that
these.
alternative?
And as Alvaro mentioned, the magnets were a good temporary measure, inexpensive. They were effective to a point, but they are not a safe school lock. And I think that was something that was wise to do at the time. They were inexpensive, but due to them being used improperly, they are creating some damage to the doors and jambs. They're a very simple device to use, but if they are put in incorrectly, they will put stress on the doors. But they were a good measure for us to have in place. I think most of the teachers like them. We have actually heard that some of the teachers want to keep them, which we probably won't be doing, but it's a sense of security that they've had, and they're used to using those. So it was a good thing to use at the time. It was affordable, and we provided what safety we could at the time. So do you want me to go through all my items, or do you want to go?
Is there any other questions or comments on the locks? Well, I'd like to do this just now, because in light of recent events, you know, let's just take the stand, and I think we need to do this. So I will entertain a motion for item 7A.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. With, opposed? Board members Paceno and Bass are absent.
Thank you. I have one more item, 7B. The bats have returned to Gilroy High School. I think you probably recall I came a couple years ago with some issues with bats getting in the facade of the walls, exterior walls at Gilroy High School, and creating a huge mess around the pool area. Well, they've found other areas of the gym that they've created problems, similar problems. So this exclusion work will eradicate the bats from that area. They still will have areas they could access on the upper roof areas, but they won't affect student safety. We won't have droppings down on the ground. If they choose to find that area, they can. But this will eliminate any problems that we have around the perimeter of the school where we have students underneath the area, student traffic. We do have to move on this quickly. If we don't start the work by the middle of June, we'll have to wait till the fall, because the bats will have started nesting and established themselves, and we can't legally harm them once they start that. This is the same company that has done all the bird exclusion work in the district. They did all the netting at Christopher High, Gilroy High, El Roble. They're our prime pest service when it comes to rodents and things like that, and birds.
Can you legally harm the bats at some point?
I don't think we can legally harm them, but I think we can exclude them legally.
So you can't kill them like
I
bats?
don't believe it's legal for us to kill them.
Well, who wouldn't?
ADM has made it very clear that we have a very strict time that we can exclude them without harming them.
I got in a lot of trouble when I was a pool tech for killing birds.
Trustee Doyle was after me for a long time to get rid of the bats at Gilroy High School. So this will be paid out of deferred maintenance. It's $11,240.
Okay. Should we go?
Let's keep going.
Move approval? Oh.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. With trustees Paceno and Bass absent.
Next item is 7C, approval of contract with Coastal Sports Flooring for the installation of new volleyball supports and equipment at the South Valley Gym. We redid the gym floor about 2 years ago. It was a huge success. It's the prettiest floor in probably the district now, except Gilroy High just got refinished and was completed yesterday, so that's probably the prettiest floor in the district. But at that time, we knew there were issues with the volleyball stanchions, and they were still operational. The site had the information and the option to proceed with repairing them at that time, but they chose not to. Now it's become a real issue where they have broken. They are not repairable. The stanchions that they have on site are basically obsolete. We can't install them, so it requires all new equipment. We did get 2 bids on this. Coastal Sports Flooring, who just did Gilroy High School, and very nicely done, provided the lowest cost solution for that, and that's also deferred maintenance at $9,725. And I want to add, right now, South Valley cannot host league games and functions because they're using temporary netting, which they create a trip hazards, and they do not meet league compliance.
Let's bunch the rest of these
Okay.
issues all up
Keep
together.
going. Next item is approval of contract with Miracle Play Systems for the installation of permanent playground signage at all of our district playgrounds. This is something that we have signage at our sites, and we are required by law to have several different types of signage on our equipment. One is the brand, one is the age, one is the age appropriateness, and what the supervision requirements are. and that's fine, but the signage that we have that our manufacturer and our reps put up, it's just stickers. And they get damaged by the sun, they get damaged by the kids, they get peeled off. So we're not in total compliance. So what I'm proposing is we put up what we have at ADB. We have one permanent large sign that is basically indestructible, and that keeps us in compliance. So they went out, they checked every site, and we will be installing the appropriate signs for each playground and what type of equipment we have out there. And it'll be something that hopefully we won't have any problems like we do with the decals and stickers that are applied to the equipment now. We have had issues where children that are too small are playing on larger equipment.
If only they had read the signs.
Well, their supervisors might have read the signs. So that'll also be out of deferred maintenance, 9100, 9151, 61. The last item is approval of contract with Cottage Floors for the installation of flooring in the South Valley Dance Room. South Valley now uses the old wrestling room, which was covered with mats, painted quite colorful, and is now used as a dance studio for their programs, the mariachi and the florica. I'm probably butchering that. Folklorio, excuse me. They got several bids, which we tried to compare, but we couldn't really get a comparison of what was included and what was not. And some of the options that were brought forth on those bids weren't a good solution for a dance studio, so we contacted our local floor supplier and asked for an effective, inexpensive, but good floor that would be appropriate for a dance floor. He met with Principal Montegron, and she really liked what he came up with, the solution, and we, our painters will be painting instead of contracting, which she originally proposed. Our painters will actually be starting Monday to paint the room, and they're the ones who originally painted it for the wrestling room. And this will be funded, it's 876523 out of Neighborhood Safety Unit NSU grant. That's my last item.
Thank you.
Any questions?
NSU? Right. That's all that you have? All right.
That's all I have.
Well, let's do items 7C through item 7E. I will entertain a motion.
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with board members Paceno and Bass absent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hand off the baton. So now I've taken the baton from Dan, so move right into my items, which are item F, beginning with item F. Approval of bid and contract with Satellite Painting Incorporated for the El Roble Elementary School painting project. We got a really good price on this from the person that bid on this particular item. The price went all the way from $220 all the way down to $109,000. $109,000 was a fellow that lives about 4 doors down from the school, and his children actually attend the school. So I was wondering why it came in so low. He really wanted that bid, so he can walk down. He can walk to work for a couple of days for once in his life. So really good bid, really good guy. Spent some time with him. So should I do?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Item G, approval of ratification of contract with Padre Associates Incorporated for the preliminary environmental assessment for the Brownell Middle School modernization project. We did the phase one assessment, and when we did the phase one assessment, we brought the information to the Department of Toxic Substance Control, and we have been required by DTSC to move on to a preliminary environmental assessment. So it's mandatory. It's also gonna push us into a full CEQA on the property, unfortunately, so.
This was when we were talking about an exemption, but this is what
We were
wanna
initially
do
talking about an exemption, but this,
because we
yeah,
wanna
but
design it right.
unfortunately, due to the history of the school, it actually had crops on the property, and part of it was, even though the school was there, they were still actually growing crops on the property up until the 40s. I guess the school actually started in 1920. I guess there was school on that property in 1920, so gonna be interesting what we find when we start digging, but.
Interesting is not good.
Item H, approval of purchase from One Workplace for the furniture for Gilroy High School new 20 classroom math building. We did have 3 different companies come in, and they brought their furniture in, and we put it over in the annex next door. And we had the school, the principal, vice principal, the math chair, and some other people come over and take a look at different pieces of furniture. And this is the one that the school settled on. This is the one that the school wanted. I really like this particular piece of furniture as well. So we did have the 3 bids, and we had 3 different companies. We actually invited 4. I think 3 of them came. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I know 3 of them came. So that's for the furniture for the school. And then the next one is item I, approval of purchase with CDW-G, whatever that stands for, LLC, for televisions and mounts for the Gilroy School new math building. And I know there was some question about the fact that these TVs are available at different places for a lot less. However, this is not a TV. This is actually a, and I've been corrected many times, so Maribel is going to explain that these are interactive panels.
Good evening. Yes, what we're bringing forward are not televisions. Yes, televisions, we can buy them for less cost at, Fry's Electronics, Best Buy, but what we're proposing are interactive displays and 2 per classroom. The reason why we are proposing 2 per classroom is because the shape of the classroom. Usually when students are at the far back of the classroom in the corners, they have a little bit more challenging looking at the center of the classroom when you only have 1 display. And at Gilroy High School, we have sort of like a rectangular classroom, so that's one of the reasons. We do want to move away from projectors. This is a new building. Projectors in the classrooms are going to be obsolete very soon, and when I say very soon, I'm talking probably about a decade. And we can take advantage of a lot of functions and features of an interactive panel. Some of the things that we will be doing is the teacher is going to be able to either mirror the content in both displays or work with students in hubs if they wish to do so. You also can access the panel from anywhere within the classroom, because these will be connected to the network. And so, because we also have wireless at the school sites, so students and teachers can connect to the panels from anywhere within the classroom. So now they don't have to be anchored to the front of the classroom or to the back or wherever. In a traditional classroom today, they have the projector or the document camera. And because we want to move into, mobility is kind of our theme now, we want to also give them the ability to replace the document cameras, right? So they're not anchored also to one spot. What are the different things that they can do with the panels? Yes, sir.
When you're talking about mobility, you're talking about the instructor, you're not talking about the TVs.
That is correct.
So the TVs are going to be fixed, mounted somewhere in the classroom.
The interactive panels, yes, they're going to be mounted.
I'm just going by the bid sheet.
They're going to be mounted in the front of the classroom to the sides. So we're going to have in the center, we're going to have a traditional whiteboard, right? Because teachers do want that traditional whiteboard, so we don't want to take it away. And then on the left and the right of that whiteboard, we're going to have the interactive panels. The interactive panels, they also have an electronic or digital whiteboard. And so they're going to be kind of like an extension of, their the physical whiteboard, and they can do so many things, with the interactive whiteboard. They can save anything that they do in those interactive panels and make that content available for the students, whether, they're working on worksheets, they're bringing something from they pull content from the internet, they decide to either highlight it, save it, do a cut and paste within the panel, or, if they have a mobile device or they have, a phone or whatever it is, and they are in one corner of the classroom, they still can operate the interactive panels and do the same thing as they were either at the desk or they were in the front of the panel. So, probably it would be better if we remove televisions from the title, because there are not televisions, and I just want to make sure that, that it's clear.
It says
TV?
Sharp PN LE 801 80-inch LED TV, so they think they're TVs.
And we'll make a note of that and we'll give them feedback. But they are interactive panels, they are not.
So they're closer to iPads than they are to TVs, right? I mean,
Yes, they are like giant tablets, they are. They have so many other features that, it would take quite a bit to talk about all the features, but it is very exciting. We also look at the grade of the interactive panel. We made sure that, they had Gorilla Class glass, sorry. And Gorilla is a technology that allows a little bit more impact on the glass. I don't know if you remember many years ago, if you drop your cell phone, for sure it broke, right? The screen, the smartphones. Now they're a little bit more resistant. It's because of that technology. So these interactive panels do have that technology. We had a demo. The vendor came and he actually hit the the glass. My heart dropped for a few seconds, but nothing happened. And so that's that's some of the other things that we looked into when we looked at the panels.
any additional questions? All right.
I do want to mention one more thing. Sorry, training is included with the cost. So we do have a 4-hour session plan for only the math teachers in the month of August to train them on how to use the panels, which is different from professional development. And I just wanted to
Thank you.
provide that information.
That's really important.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, where were we, Jim?
That was it.
Did we get J and K? No, let's do J. So,
Oh.
Maribel.
Maribel's next, but you want to do mine and then, or you want to do hers?
Yes, let's vote for items F through I. Shall we? I will entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote.
Heather Bass, absent. B.C. Doyle.
Yes.
Mark Good.
Yes.
Pat Midgard. Yes. James Pace.
Yes.
Linda Pacino, absent. Jaime Rosso.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Now we're on item J and K, right? Yes.
Good evening. The next item is for the approval of contract with CDWG for the replacement of the Gilroy High School PA system. And I just want to give you a little bit of history on the Gilroy High School PA system. It has been, the system was in place quite a few years ago, and it was improved one time after the initial installation. But when it was improved, we added a lot of new hardware in the for the high school, but not everything was replaced. So we had a mix of new parts and old parts, right? So the same thing that sort of happens to a car, you know, when you have about 400,000 miles and you replace the transmission, right? The transmission runs really good, but the rest of the parts in the car are not, you know, they don't work the same. So when we had, when we disconnected the power at Gilroy High School, when the parking lot was done, and the power came back up, that's when the system started to fail. And so a lot of the parts in the PA system, they started to show the age of and the wear and tear of the system. So this year alone, I think that we've had over, you know, I don't know, about 18 calls and work orders submitted to fix the system. At what point in time the high school was without a PA system and without a bell for a few days. And it breaks without warnings. And it is due for a replacement. So at this point, we would like to replace the traditional digital PA system that we have at Gilroy High School with an IP-based system, and that integrates and aligns with the vision and technology for the district of integrating systems, and is the same PA system that we install at Rock Kelly, and has the same features and functionality of Rock Kelly.
So it looks like there is a one-time insurance reimbursement that covers the majority of this. Do I want to know why, or do I just accept the money from the insurance company?
I can tell you why, and you do want to accept it. It's an insurance rebate, they call it. So these are premiums that are set in anticipation of claims. And when your claims are less than what those rates are set and generate more than your claims, then you can generate a rebate. And these rebates are calculated every 2 years. So it's not every year we get a rebate check. This is one of those positive years that we had a good claims year, claims being less, and so we get a rebate check from the insurance. I think maybe last year we got one, but it wasn't as large. This one's significant, and it came at a good time.
So the insurance is not strictly related to this PA system?
No, it's just unrestricted.
Happens to be one-time money when we needed one-time funds?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and?
So the other thing that I do want to mention is that the professional services for the installation or the replacement of the PA system does include the demolition of the existing system, as well as pulling out all the cable, you know, everything that will be abandoned as a result of the replacement. It will be out of the school. So it will, you know, we're going to finish cleaning some of that old wiring that is at the school site.
There are some exclusions out of scope, terminating any existing cabling. What does that mean?
Because we require a data drop for every single speaker. What they are alluding to is that every data drop that we have in the school side, it needs to have a jack on each side to where they can easily connect. And we have done that during the LAN upgrade.
So they don't have to do that?
That is correct.
Okay, and how about providing patch cables? Is that going to be required?
Yes, but we have them.
Moving any existing cabling to the proper location?
They're talking about the data drops for the clock speakers.
So has that been done already?
Yes, we did that when we did the LAN upgrade.
Okay. I think that's it.
From my anecdotal evidence, it's apparently very hard to hear the PA system from classrooms, even if the person speaking is quite a loud person. my son can't hear my daughter talk every day.
She's sitting next to him in the car.
No, in the PA system.
Yes, and we do have sections that go out intermittently. You know, the bell does ring, but maybe, you know, not in the student center sometimes, and others in the D building, and so those are the types of issues that they deal with on a daily basis.
All right.
And-
Item K?
And so, should I go with Mount Madonna?
Yes, please.
Since we have a very similar issue at Mount Madonna. That system has never been replaced. You know, it's been there. I was gonna bring you a picture, actually, because Dan asked me to go and take a look at it a few months ago, and I went into the room and I said, I can't find it, it's not there. But it was there, but it's so old that I didn't think it was the PA system, but indeed it was. So, it's just, you know, a controller with a lot of cables everywhere, and I don't think that you can even find the parts in a museum. So that definitely needs to be replaced.
So it looks like there is another bid that's a little less, or does it not cover everything?
It does not cover installation or
Installation.
demolition.
We need
Right,
that.
which, yes, we do. We can't just buy the hardware.
Why would they make a bid and not include installation? They did in the previous contract, or the previous, for Gilroy High.
I did ask the question, but I don't think there was an interest.
Oh, okay.
To do the installation.
I will entertain a motion for items J and K.
Move approval?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? With board members Paceno and Bass absent. Thank you very much. Next up, item 8, board member reports. Trustee Rosso.
Yesterday, I had the opportunity to go to the Mount Madonna Senior Awards.
Is your mic on,
Yesterday, I had the opportunity to go to the Mount Madonna Senior Awards at the Gilroy Senior Center. It was well-attended. It was a very festive occasion. It was very significant that they, I think, they acknowledge kids for different community service, but they also got some scholarships that were impressive. They gave out 9, I think it was 9 scholarships for, I'm trying to I didn't bring my paper on it, but the same people the family that gave the awards on behalf of their son, that they have given them out over the years at Mount Madonna, and I can't remember the name right now.
I remember them from the Thanksgiving events, right? That's
And,
very nice.
and this year, both of them died. And so they did, to honor the parents and the son, they gave out 9 $1,000 award scholarships. And they are also awards that they have in perpetuity to continue. They also gave out 3 $20,000 awards by an anonymous contributor who from the Gilroy Foundation.
Is that the UVIS one, or is this another?
It's a new one.
Wow.
It's a brand-new one that is a new awards. They were giving out a total of 12 awards in the school district, 3 of them to Gilroy Unified, and they're gonna be ongoing awards. So, anyway, that was very nice. The presentations were excellent, and I think it was very well received. It was a very nice event.
Thank you for representing us.
Yeah.
Any other board member reports? I want
to say one last thing, and I did make the tail end of the Solorzano college career night, and they had excellent presentation, full gym participation. They went on for almost an hour after I showed up very late, but they kept going, and it was very, very well received, and a lot of questions and good presentation. It was very, very well received, so.
Great. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Doyle.
The 3rd and 4th, we went to Anaheim for the California Senior School for Rod Kelly. Quite an ordeal. They gave out the awards prior to the dinner and everything. They had just had high school drama classes come in and do programs, which were very good.
Wow.
Musicals, they did like the Hunchback of Notre Dame and Sound of Music, and it was just very, very entertaining, good meal, and a great award for Rod Kelly.
Wonderful. Thank you for representing us. All right. Upcoming and new referral agenda items? Anyone? I have one. CSBA has they're going initiative called Full and Fair Funding, where they want to get the state to fund schools at the national average, so bring us from 46th or whatever to middle there by 2020, and to break California into the top 10 for school funding by 2025. So I would like to bring that initiative, they have a draft initiative, to bring that up at our next meeting to take a look at. And that's okay. Next, announcements. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Thursday, May 31st, here. Closed session at 5:30. And Linda will be back, so things will run smoother. And we are adjourned.